You know, I've said that before, but today's show is going to be amazing. Chevy, you're filling in. How's it going, man?
Day 2 on the fill-in. It's going good. I'm still not on Curt's shoes level, but I'm working on it.
Some clown shoes.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe I'll fight an MMA guy, or I'll get Nate Slater to choke me out or something, and then I can,
be on that level.
Be on that level.
So we have the Texas Coastal Fisheries in studio. We're going to have UPW heavyweight champion Nate Slater in studio. I hope he brings the belt just so I can get a picture with it over my shoulder and feel tough.
You're just racking up the pictures, the pictures with belts. I like that.
That's my plan.
You ever set foot in a ring?
Have I? No,
You've held more
never.
belts than most people that set foot in a ring.
So we got Chevy hanging out with us today. If you are not familiar with Chevy, he runs a business. He runs a company called Kingston DeVille, which I think is one of the coolest names ever. Can you tell me, Chevy, what does Kingston DeVille do? What do you offer?
So I'm a local photographer. Kingston DeVille, the name actually comes from people always, because the Facebook I run is Kingston DeVille. It's where you can find me. It's where you can message me. But it's actually my oldest 2 sons. I have 4 boys, and their names Presley Kingston and Silas DeVille. And when we had the second one, I was shooting, long story short, my wife majored in photography at U of H, Maine, and she, we got married, had babies. She kind of put the camera down, just being busy, that busy mom, and I picked it up and just kind of fell in love with it. So
kept going.
Yeah, she taught me how to shoot. So all credit really when people still get surprised. Oh, your wife shoots. I'm like, yeah, she's the one who taught me. So we do that. But man, I'm just, like I said, I don't want to say, and most people don't say this when they talk about their business, I don't say I'm anything special. I believe this day and age, with cameras everywhere, they have cell phones, they have whatever. Photography is an odd thing to be a part of, because I know stay-at-home moms that go out and get a $5,000 camera, and every single picture they shoot is gorgeous from the lens and the camera.
That's me.
That's you. You're a stay-at-home mom with a $5,000 camera.
Yeah.
And so, man, I just really hope and bring these moments to people's lives that I'm a dad. I get it. Like, I look at pictures from 5 years ago. I've always find it funny when somebody goes, I can't believe they're that big. And in my head, I'm like, wouldn't it be weirder if they weren't? Like, it's been 5 years.
They didn't grow.
It's all Benjamin Button, and so, but I get it. Like, I look at pictures of I've shared on here before, I think, stories of my twins, and they were born way early, and God totally guided their path into the chaos that they are now, and so we have to constantly remind ourselves they came into this world fighting for each other and for life, and so that energy is just constantly with them. But looking at these pictures that we weren't even with them for the first month of their life, and so they were in ICU and they got out and they were breathing fine. That's fine, but looking back, it just takes you to these moments of like, I don't know. Sometimes you get chills. Right.
It's 8:38. We got 8 seconds. We're gonna go on the FM right now and get this ball rolling. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. I'm Gardy.
I'm Chevy.
Kurt's out of town. He's living it up. He's on vacation,
right,
soaking up the sun rays. So be blessed out there, Kurt, wherever you're at. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much. If you're watching on Facebook, share this video out. We need you to share. We're going to spread some positivity today. I think, Chevy, are you about to share this video out on your Facebook?
I'm going to share it.
And make sure you check out Chevy's Facebook page, Kingston DeVille, local photographer, videographer. You need social media support, maybe even a haircut. He can help you out.
I dabble. I dabble in a bunch of stuff.
Dude, you do a lot. How do you
One
manage?
of these days, I'm going to find something I'm really good at. Like, I'm okay at all this other stuff. And then one day, I'm going to find something I can just do this. Man, I live in this weird world that somebody's out there doing what you love. Why not it be you? And so just sometimes in this, and it's not for everybody, but just following your dreams, doing something you like, living every day. I don't say every day to the fullest, because some days I'm really just sitting around like, I don't know, but just finding the things that really you have passion about and diving in. Like we were talking a second ago before we came on the FM about photography. There's just little moments, man, that, long story short, I used to work at a photography studio, work with this young lady, and she was always griping about love, and I think she'd been divorced, and I'm never getting married again, fast forward a few years, she gives me calls like, hey, I found somebody, and we're getting married, and she's like, I'm pregnant, I'm having a baby, blah blah blah, can you please take our picture? And I'm like, oh, this coming from the girl who was never finding love again. I'm about that life, let's do this. She was so happy. She was almost a different person. I shoot these pictures of her and, her maternity shots of her and her future husband and and about, let me say, a month later, maybe, long story short, man, this guy's on his way to work, gets into a car wreck and passes away.
Wow.
So this is, now she's pregnant, back to the one love she thought she never found. A few years later, I get to meet this little girl. She's about 4 or 5 at this point, and she tells me, she says, those pictures you took were the last pictures ever of this gentleman, and my baby just runs around the house holding them. That's it. That's all she has of her dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How did that make you feel? That's almost like something out of a movie, like surreal, right?
It's just little, like I said, and it's so stinking cheesy, man, when people are like, oh, we're going to capture these moments. I don't know of a better way to say it, that it's like jumping in a DeLorean. It's like a time machine. It takes you back to a time that you can remember. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But, I'm always like, when I take group pictures of families and they're like, hey, let's bring the son's girlfriend in. I'm like, hey, are you sure about this? Are you 1,000% sure you want to do this? Let me take some with and some without, because I don't want her to ruin my family portrait,
Yeah, then you can't use it if something happens. You never know.
I get phone calls. Can you Photoshop this head out?
Oh, no.
Can we Photoshop the new one in? No, I'm just kidding. That never happens. But yeah, man. So that, those pictures, moments like that, you just never know. Or even at weddings, I'm always looking for grandparents, because you just never know what's going to happen. And so, and it's not to like, oh, let me pulling the heartstrings of people, but I genuinely love this idea of when I shoot pictures of families in my head, and maybe I'm crazy, or maybe I'm insane, but I want to see this 20 years from now, because I don't think pictures are cool for right now, because it's so accessible. We live in an instant world. Boom, let me take a selfie. Let me take this.
Well, people almost get criticized for taking and posting too many pictures or selfies or like of your kids. And it's like, we don't want to see your kids. And so you have to put them somewhere. And the picture book is kind of a thing of the past.
Right. And I'm about that. I'm an old school soul. You know what I'm saying? So I love the printed picture. And that's what I was saying. Like, I want 20 years from now, and this is a little morbid, but like when parents pass away, I want their kids to be fighting over the pictures I took. No, I want this print. I want this off the mantle, because I think the pictures you're taking now are not for right now, but they're from 10 years from now. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
That's when they mean the most.
Speaking of pictures, and I see Anthony Tupper tuned in. Good morning, and shout out to Tupper Martial Arts as well. I saw that the Birthday Joy program is going to be teaming up with Tupper Martial Arts, where he's going to be going and teaching these kids who are living in group homes that are living in care of the government. He's going to be teaching them martial arts, which I think is amazing. I fully support the Birthday Joy program. I fully support Tupper Martial Arts. KHEA Radio does as well. But these kids that are living in group homes, one thing that I learned when they have these birthday parties or events, people don't photograph. You think about those family portraits. Let's say you've been taken from your family, or it's not a good fit for you, or you don't have a family and you get put into this group care. There's nobody there to go capture moments of those birthday parties. There's nobody there to say, this is the first day of school. There's nobody there to say, hey, it's Christmas. They may not even get presents, much less a photograph to remember. And then they get removed. And then it's like, man, I remember my friend whenever I was however many years old, and I wonder where they're at. I don't even remember what they look like if you're an adult. And one of the people that, it was a listener, and they donated their photography booth. They said, hey, we're going to donate the photography booth so that way these kids can have these memories of these birthday parties, that it may be the only birthday gift or present they get all year. So if you're a photographer, maybe reach out to the Birthday Joy program. That's Noni. She is awesome, and she goes to there's about 3 or 4 different group homes in the area where she goes, and she collects toys. I have some toys actually over here. That's what those are for. Next time I see her, I need to get those toys to her so these kids can have a birthday gift. And I remember the best memories that I have. Like, me and my sister, our birthdays are really close together in February, so we would have joint birthday parties, and it was a blast, man. Can you imagine? It's those powerful memories.
You're the only person I've ever said that. Most joint birthday parties, people are like, oh, in my own birthday party, I got stuck with my silly sister or whatever.
I know. Well, we had a lot of the same friends, growing up in like church and even like a small like children's church and group or whatever. Then it's just like you have the same friends, so it was kind of neat. Yeah. I love slumber parties. That's what I was about.
About that life?
You have 4 boys, so I feel like it's always a slumber party.
Yeah. And they just fall asleep wherever. Like, they all have their own beds, and I find them on the couch, on the floor, like wherever they pass out. That's kind of where they stay. They just pass out on the ground. I just throw a blanket on them. What you were saying even before, like in this area, after, especially after Harvey, things like that, like that's something people like. Paper goods did not survive. You can get this metal table wet. Okay, we're going to dry it off. We still got it, But I think I think, man, go print your pictures. You'd be surprised how many pictures you have in your phone that are going to mean the world for you in 5 years, and that phone's going to break or your account's going to get locked out or whatever, So I'm a big fan.
That's another thing. Yeah, I have old phones with pictures, and right now I have an iPhone, but I used to have a Samsung, and they're gone. It's a trashed phone. So it's gone. But if I would have had those printed, it makes it a little bit different.
People are putting them in their Dropbox and their iClouds, and what if you stop paying for that? Or what if I don't want this anymore, it's a waste of money, whatever. Oh, now I have to pay $100 a year, whatever, to keep all this stuff because I've stored it in the cloud and, whatever. So I'm a big fan of the printed picture. I think it says a lot. I have a lot of, you just kind of see the history of our family and our house, like all over the walls, and from my kids from the time they're babies to now,
Yeah, you go to my grandma's house and you see the photos of,
I love that,
like my mom in high school photo.
None of the frames match,
It's cool.
My grandma's old school. She'll take like a one picture, and then you'll see tucked in the corners like little wallet size of other family members, But
sometimes it's the same photo, wallet size.
That's awesome, And I love. I go to every single time I go to grandmother's house. She's getting older, and her house is just like a museum of our family, and and I don't know if anybody else in my family does it, but I go to the old photo books and start flipping through them, and because the pages are stuck together because nobody's looked at them in years, and the pictures are all orange from the getting developed bad, and they have to watch me because they're like, you better not be stealing my pictures, because I will totally steal your pictures. I will, and I'll just keep them forever, and because I preserve that art form. I think it's amazing.
It's 8:47. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. If you're watching on Facebook, thank you so much. Share this video out. We're going to be talking Texas coastal fisheries at 9 o'clock, and then we have the UPW champion Nate Slater in at 10 o'clock. Good morning, Colleen. What's up, Thomas? Watching from Oklahoma. I see my man, DJ Gomez from Galveston, Texas, baby. Dude, I miss him.
Gomes, I love you.
He came in here one time.
I have not met your baby yet.
He has a little baby boy, huh?
So here's a story. I'm going on air when my oldest son, who's 11 now, his name's Presley, was a baby. Me and David Gomez were real close. I think he was actually staying with me at the time, and my son was on a table. Imagine this desk, and he's trying to get Presley to jump to him, and Presley's a baby, and he's like, no, like Presley's not trusting, he's like, no. And then I think finally Presley builds up all the trust in the world to David Gomez and jumps into his arms, except by this time David had turned his back on my son, and now my son is laid out in the middle of a restaurant at like 1.5 years old or 1 year old, just on his back. He fell off a table because David Gomez and so now David Gomez just had a baby recently, and I'm like, I'm going to hold that baby.
Let me come over.
And his wife is like, you better not drop my baby on the ground. I'm like, eye for an eye. Eye for an eye. And I think that's the reason I have not met his kid. I was just kidding. I would not drop your baby. But that totally happened. He dropped my kid on FM radio. I'm letting everybody know.
Yeah.
And so, people that were around back then, it's been 11 years or whatever, they're like, hey.
Don't forget.
Remember that time David dropped your son? Always.
David's cool.
Never forget.
Yeah, he came in and he was talking about living in, I believe it was in Venezuela. He was over there.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And he was teaching, and him and his wife had went over there, and they were kind of ministering in their own way. And now he's back, and has a baby boy. So it's really cool to see how life comes at you.
He's a bit of my, I don't say a spirit animal, man. I want to say I live randomly, vicariously through him because I'm not as adventurous. I want to be, but I'm just not. I mean, this guy, man, I've seen him just live on anything. Live camping, live in an RV, live in Venezuela. He just does what he does, man. And if he's passionate about something, he just goes and does it. And so, what do you say?
I'm going to read some of these comments. This is from Jose. Said, what's up, Chevy? What's up, Jose?
What's up, Jose? Who? Last name? We got a last name?
Salazar.
Oh, it's my boy, San Antonio, repping. We're reaching.
What's up, San Antonio? What do y'all think about that Houston Rockets Oklahoma City trade where Russell Westbrook's coming to the Rockets for Chris Paul? I don't want to touch on it too much, but it just blew my mind last night.
Yeah, man, I don't do any sports, but I saw that. I'm like, people are losing their mind. I don't even know what's going on.
It's a big deal. So we'll see. And my whole response to it is, why not? Just why not? Might as well. Let's see what happens. Roll the dice. Go big or go home. Here's Brian Rivera, which I love Brian. He said, I miss Curt, but he cannot cut my hair like Chevy.
Oh, Brian's bald. I just balled him out. It's not a great.
So maybe Curt could do it.
Yeah, probably. We
ran into Brian the other day because he was working at the Tech City Police station as a 911 dispatcher, which he recently, is moving jobs, I saw. But I didn't even know he was going to be in there. We were actually getting a tour.
We were actually getting arrested, and he was there.
I'm bailing Curt out of the big house, right?
Yeah.
And, things happen, of course.
Right.
You're speeding.
Hey,
we're trying to get to a meeting.
We don't judge.
Yeah. So we were there, and Brian, and they can make things happen. So it was really cool to see him, especially before he's moving on to his next path. So, again, this is 99.5 FM. In about 8 minutes, we're going to be switching the topic and talking about fishing. Did you grow up fishing?
I'm not. I've been fishing very few times in my life. I was in Cub Scouts, believe it or not, as a kid, and I remember the thrill of catching a small fish in a pond. But it's never been. Chevy's a indoor guy. I don't really hang outside unless I have to. I'm playing with the kids. I don't get on giant boats. I don't. Do
you send your kids outside, or you're just like, hey, I'll go play outside?
For sure. Burn that energy out.
Daddy's inside time. You're gonna go play outside.
My father-in-law loves fishing. Like, he'll make a whole family engagement late because he found a good fishing hole. He's just like that. So my kids have picked that up a little bit. So they go fishing with Grandpa, but that's not really my jam. But maybe these what's the
Texas
company?
Coastal Fisheries.
Texas Coastal Fisheries. Maybe they'll pull me into a direction I've never been. Change my mind.
Yeah. I grew up fishing. I had the Mickey Mouse pole. My dad, we had this little bitty boat. We'd take it out all the time.
Yeah.
And I just grew up.
I think that's it more for me. Like, I'm much a land dweller. I'm not a big fan of water, so I'm always like, am I going to drown? Like, I tried to surf once and it lasted like 10 minutes. It was over. Like, no.
Yeah.
So,
the beauty of our area is you can actually go to the dike. A lot of people fish from the dike. You don't even have to get in the water. You can go to Galveston. There's some piers, and it's a lot of opportunity, and everything's different, so you don't have to get out there and potentially get seasick. But we do have some really cool charters and stuff, and we just did a team up with a TV show called The Monster Catch, which is going to debut again on Monday. So we're excited about that. We got a couple more minutes, but we're going to be talking about Texas Coastal Fisheries, and we're going to get into wrestling. There's a UPW show tonight.
Yes,
it's
I'm
the second
excited.
one in Santa Fe.
I'll be there.
I'm there too, man.
With bells on.
I'm bringing my wife. I'm getting in the ring.
Is she into wrestling?
I'm
or
causing
is she just
a
like,
disturbance.
I cannot believe you brought me?
She's been to some wrestling shows for Reality of Wrestling, and I think she enjoyed it. But our whole family was there, and she's been to see my cousin JT Royce, who's going to be in Santa Fe tonight.
Yeah, he's going to be there tonight.
I may show up face painted.
I like what he was doing on Facebook not too long ago. Just arguing with promoters, getting into it.
I like it too.
It makes me happy.
Hey, if you're getting disrespected, if you're not going to stand up for yourself, sometimes nobody else will, right?
You got to keep it real, keep it heel. JT, repping. Good job, brother.
Yeah, so good morning, John. Hey, he said Chevy knows a little bit about 1 billion topics: wrestling, comics, hair, photography, digital marketing, now fishing, future Jeopardy champion. Do you see that in your future?
I'm like one of those guys that like bets it all and go down to zero. Just sad.
Go big or go home.
Right. Alex Trebek's like, why do we get this guy?
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Southern Sass, Vinyl, and more. We appreciate you guys. We're having a Talk of Taco cook-off. It's going to be October 12th. If you know where the best tacos are, you need to let us know. But I need to get a quote, because if I need shirts made, I go to Southern Sass, Vinyl, and more, and we got a really cool taco logo. So it's going to be a shirt that everybody's going to want. Awesome. I can say that because our logo is sick. Have you seen it yet?
The Talk of Taco logo?
Yeah.
Is it on the Talk of Taco page?
It is a little bit.
Okay.
But it's like
I
hidden.
see a lot of the stuff coming. Okay.
It's hidden.
Maybe I hadn't jumped out at me.
You got to dive in deep.
Right. I'm usually too busy looking at the actual tacos to notice anything around the images,
the graphics.
Yeah.
Looking at the delicious tacos.
Hidden graphics. You guys are like the Illuminati of tacos.
We did do that. There is a hidden KHEA logo inside of the Talk of Taco logo. It's built into the taco shell, and if you're first looking at it at a glance, you can't see it, but subliminally, you're like,
I like that.
KHEA is the best ever. You know.
Every time somebody turns on the radio, they're like, "Why am I hungry right now?"
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break. We're gonna talk on the FM for a bit. When we come back. But when we come back on the FM, we're going to be talking Texas Coastal Fisheries. This is 99.5 FM. Coming up next is Amanda Cook. The song's called Still. Facebook. What's up? Hey, we'll just wait a little bit, a couple minutes, and then we'll bring her in. We're back.
That's funny.
So that's that premium content. Sometimes we have to turn the mics off just in case, and we used to joke about that all the time, and people are like, I can read your lips.
Right.
There's lip readers out there, and I'm sure there's Facebook detectives.
For sure. That's why I have a mustache. I try to cover him like a walrus.
Ooh, Jose Salazar, Tacos Gliasco, Clasico.
Dude, you want to talk about a taco champion. Jose Salazar is not a big fella. He's a skinny little guy, but that man can throw down on some tacos. Like, so,
joke.
yeah. I mean, I think that's why he moved to San Antonio, just to have a new range of tacos outside of Houston. So he's from Galena Park. He's from all that, Galena Park.
Oh, I know
Houston.
Galena Park.
Oh yeah. So the man gets down on some tacos.
So when we were throwing out stuff that is going to be taking place at the Taco Cook-Off, one of the ideas that I had was a taco eating competition. And that was shot down by some of the powers that be. But if everything else gets to rolling, I'm bringing it back up because I would love to see a taco eating competition. I think a lot of people would be able to show off their skills, like your boy here, Jose, and like maybe they can eat 100 tacos. I don't know. Do you see Burger King came out with it?
I did.
They re-released it.
I was hanging out with your you were there too, but we're hanging out with your wife yesterday, and she is a giant fan of Taco Bell.
Oh, she'll throw down on some Taco Bell.
How does that make you feel as a taco connoisseur of the area? I think people look to you for their taco needs and.
That's true, and I don't feel that that's fair. I feel like, I don't know if I'm a connoisseur.
You don't stop talking about tacos.
I'm a promoter.
Right. Okay.
I'm a promoter and a believer of tacos, and that's what I have kind of taken that route instead of being like I'm an expert on all things. I want to be an equal promoter. Like we have a Facebook group called Talk of Taco. If you're not a member of it, go and join that. And one of the rules that we created is no taco hate speech. All tacos, are spreading love.
Okay, I like that.
So
you're like, you can hate whatever else you want, but tacos is crossing the line.
There's a line right there.
Right.
Don't cross it.
So I like how you totally avoided the Taco Bell situation. Like you just jumped into something else. You're like, I can't talk about this.
No, I'll eat some Taco Bell, man. I remember throwing down some double deckers, the chalupas, nachos Bel Grande. Rest in peace to the Yo Quiero Taco Bell dog.
Right. Oh, he went out finally? I mean, it's been like, 30 years or something?
Great actor.
So I know. I saw him in Beverly Hills, Chihuahua. I was moved. I don't know why that was not nominated for an Oscar.
Maybe it was.
Right.
Hey, here's Scott. He said, hey, where's the show tonight? I got a free night tonight, brother.
Really?
What's up, man? That UPW wrestling show is going to be at the Santa Fe, is it the middle school? Where was it last time?
Yeah. Fritz Barnett Gym. Tell Scott it's the same spot we was at last time, man. He was there. He was there.
Cool.
So, another UPW. To your thing.
Yeah.
Eldred's in the house.
Eldred.
Interns don't get enough love around here, bro.
That's our intern.
Can y'all see him on camera anywhere?
No. Whenever he gets up and walks out, you can bring our guest in as well.
Okay. Oh, they're here.
They are here. Yeah,
Already.
They were here on time, early. That's what I like. So we're going to get into this. Let us know, are you a big fan of fishing? Maybe like this coastal living? Maybe crabbing? Just raising fish, an
Putting
appreciator
stickers on
of
the back
fish.
of your truck.
Ooh, the CCA
Right.
with the fish. That's my dad.
Letting people know.
You can have a seat right here. How are you doing?
Good.
What's your name?
Sharis?
Sharis?
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Okay.
You got it.
My name's Gardy.
Nice to meet you.
This is
Hello,
Chevy.
I'm Chevy. How are you?
Chevy.
We're talking to Sharis. So if you have a seat there, what we're going to have you do is you can move those headphones off of that microphone, and then we're going to ask you to you can actually move that arm and probably get it to where you're comfortable. Yeah, pick it up, and that's perfect. Let me hear you talk.
Hello.
Perfect. I'm excited you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
So it's the Texas Coastal Fisheries. That's what we're talking about today, right?
I think we're talking about Texas Coastal Brigade, which is a youth camp.
Well, you know what?
Because I don't work for Coastal Fisheries. Derek does.
Do you know Derek?
He's my husband.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
So I know him a little bit.
Is his name Derek York?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Sharis.
Did
York.
Curt talk to? See, this is why Curt needs to be fired, and we sent him on. We sent him on vacation.
Right.
And Curt does this to me, where I have in the calendar Texas Wildlife Coastal Fisheries in parentheses, Derek York, and so we're talking about a camp.
Yes.
Okay, Sharis, we're gonna take this a different route.
Right.
I'm gonna try and not fire Curt while he's on
No,
vacation. You got fired on your day off.
Well, I will
That
say
right?
he did ask
You get
Derek
fired in jail.
to be on the show, but Derek has been in Florida. They came
Curt.
home.
Kurt's
Not-
in Florida. He could be
They-
interviewing him right
They
now.
were in the same place. They actually came back. They drove all night last night because they were worried about Tropical Storm Barry.
Right.
And so
You say that. I have family members in Florida right now on vacation coming back, and they felt like they couldn't come back because everything that's happened in Louisiana.
so they came back early.
Okay.
So Derek is on his way home right now, but he wasn't supposed to be back till tomorrow.
Okay.
So I think we're talking about camp. Derek works for Texas Parks and Wildlife Coastal Fisheries. I do not.
So it's Brigade. Is that what you call the Texas?
Texas Brigades is a nonprofit. They have 7 youth camps across the state of Texas. TexasBrigades.org.
I need to write this down so I don't forget. I did all this research. TexasBrigades.org.
I like the
go
brigade
there.
name. It's more of a solid name. It's stronger.
It is.
It makes me feel like I'm joining something that's about to make a difference. I like that.
So Coastal Brigade is one of 7 youth camps that they run. Derek and I are the founders and co-coordinators for Coastal Brigade. We hold it in Galveston at Seastar Base. It is next week.
Who's invited? Who can go? Is this like for kids or for?
It's
can
for
I go?
teenagers, 13, 17.
Okay, so we can go.
It is a competitive process, so you have to put in an application and get accepted to come.
Yeah, we won't get accepted. Are they going to ask to see our
Sorry,
ID to prove the age?
Yeah, all this gray in my
Yes.
beard. I'm 17, sure.
Yes.
I'm 13.
I don't know. We had a kid last year. He had a beard almost as good as yours,
That's
and he
awesome.
was like 17. It was amazing.
I like that. So what do you guys do? What was the process of why'd y'all get this started? Where'd the idea come from?
So Texas Brigades has been around for over 26 years, and the idea was to get kids more involved in the outdoors, but also to make them conservation ambassadors. So to help them gain knowledge, but also skills to share that knowledge.
What kind of skills?
Leadership, public speaking, critical thinking.
Fishing?
We do go fishing at camp.
Okay, good.
But it is not the primary focus of camp. We actually do as much hands-on activities as possible. Texas Parks and Wildlife brings out their boats. We do oyster dredges, shrimp trawls. They run gill nets. We do bag seines. We take them to Seasoner, Texas. We teach them how to grow fish. We cut open fish. We learn about the anatomy.
Do y'all get to eat fish?
We do eat fish.
You said something about oyster. What did you say? Oyster what?
Oyster dredges.
What's that?
That's the gear type that Texas Parks and Wildlife uses to harvest and monitor the oysters in Galveston Bay.
Okay. I
So
saw
the kids get to do that.
recently there were some changes to the laws whenever it comes to oysters in the bay. Have you seen any of that?
There are conversations about that, but I am not the person to discuss that with.
I am. Just kidding. No.
I think she has an inside scoop she doesn't want to talk about. That's what it sounded like to me. She said,
Yeah. We got 10 seconds.
We got off the record.
Here we go. We're going to go on the FM and introduce your... Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy.
And I'm Chevy.
It's 9:03 a.m. We're broadcasting live from Lamarck, Texas. We are going to be talking about a camp. It's a Texas Coastal Brigade camp that is open to kids that are 13 to 17 years old. We have a special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself and then share what's going on because I honestly am a little bit lost. How are you doing?
Good morning. I am Charis York, and I am here to talk about Coastal Brigade. So it is part of the Texas Brigades family of youth camps. They run 7 camps across the state of Texas each year. And my husband, Derek, and I are the co-founders and co-coordinators of Coastal Brigade, which is held just down the road in Galveston, Texas at Seastar Base. And so it's for 13 to 17-year-olds. And the idea is to have a camp about conservation and about leadership, where the kids who come to camp are gaining knowledge about the coast and our coastal resources and about redfish and trout and all of the fisheries that we have, but also skills to help them share that knowledge when they go back home. So we take kids from all over the state of Texas, and we try to spend the week making them into ambassadors for the Texas coast.
Why is it important for kids to learn these things? Because a lot of the stuff you described, I am not very well versed on, to be honest.
Well, it's important because Texas is a coastal state, and most people don't actually think about that. If you live in other parts of the state and not on the coast, you think about the coast as somewhere to go on vacation, but you don't think that those coastal resources belong to every citizen of the state of Texas, and we should all care about them. Partly because whatever you do upstream is going to flow downstream, is going to impact our coast.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're just getting people ready for the zombie apocalypse. I mean, these kids are learning to survive with all natural resources, you know?
I mean, sort of.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Are
No,
we
just-
all preparing for the zombie
right,
apocalypse?
right.
Maybe.
Just own it. Like, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're building an army. It's going to be awesome.
So everything you described is very interesting, and I'd love to learn more, but I don't fall between that 13 to 17-year-old age. I'm barely aged out. Is there a place for someone like me to gain that information as well?
There are. So every year we ask adults like you, I mean, defining adult as anyone over 18.
It's a loose term.
You're right.
To apply and to come be some adult volunteers at camp.
Cool.
Adult leaders do everything that the kids do all week. And so you get to have that same hands-on experience that the cadets have as well. Then there's another section of those of us who supposedly know more, and we are the instructors who are teaching the lessons and taking the kids out on boats and doing that sort of thing.
So on a personal level, what drove you to start this? Why were you so involved personally? Like what drives you to this idea?
How long have you been involved, by the way?
So Derek and I started being involved with Bass Brigade, which is the freshwater camp. And we've been with Texas Brigades for about 10 years now. So we volunteered for several years at the freshwater camp, and we were like, why don't they have this for the coast? I mean, we live down here in Galveston County, and Derek works for Coastal Fisheries.
Heard of it.
And so we were like, hey, there's a gap in the what's available to the kids. They have a freshwater camp. They have a camp about deer and about quail and about waterfowl. We're like, why don't we have one about the saltwater? And we looked around and we said, well, maybe we're the ones to make that happen. And so once we learned about Sea Star Base and the fact that it's there and it's set up to be a camp facility, and we realized we could have camp there.
It's a really cool building. It's I actually shot a wedding there, and I was like,
where is it at? I've never been there.
As soon as you get into Galveston, right? It's around the right.
It's just on the right-hand side.
You've probably passed it 1,000 times and not really realized what it was, because I've done it.
It's kind of a blue and gray building. It sits right on off its bayou, and you kind of drive by, and you're like, what is that? It's a camp.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for 26 years?
So Texas Brigades in general we're about to have our 4th year of Coastal Brigade. So it's the newest of all of the camps.
Okay. And Derek has a background kind of in the same stuff because he's employed by the Texas Coastal Fisheries, if I understand correctly.
Yes, Derek works for Texas Parks and Wildlife in their Coastal Fisheries Division. I work for the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service.
Oh, cool.
So he is actually a fish guy, and I am a plant girl. And so you kind of put us together, and you get kind of everything we talk about at Coastal Brigade.
That's awesome. So your background, did you go to A&M down there as well?
I did not. We both were out of college before we moved to Texas. We were both Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Oh, cool.
A&M hired? No, I'm just kidding.
Our friend.
I don't think they vetted me very well.
Right.
I think they skipped over that on my resume.
You just walked in with your thumbs up. They're like, she's good.
That's right.
She's good.
Say gig them, and it confuses them.
They're like, woo, I don't know. There's like a noise they make. But our friend Kayla, who works at the Texas City Lamarck Chamber of Commerce, she graduated from Oklahoma State. She was in like 2 days ago, and we were talking about that. But she transferred from Texas Tech, and so there was this whole. There's these Texas schools like A&M, Texas Tech, and then obviously Oklahoma, which is I won't say the bigger evil is OU.
Yes.
It's fair.
I'm not a Sooner. I'm a Cowboy.
Okay.
It's a little better.
Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah. So is that what you studied in school, like the plants and?
Mm-hmm. I have degrees in biology and botany.
Okay, botany is straight up plants, right?
Straight up plants.
How'd you get into that? Like as a kid, were you something you loved, or you just kind of fell into it?
So my parents, I grew up in Missouri. Grew up on some land. My parents both grew up on farms, and my grandparents still ran cattle and everything that when we were young. And
That's
so
cool.
My parents had us outside all the time. I mean, every picture of me as a little kid, I'm covered in dirt. But I like the plants because they stayed still and they didn't run away from me and they didn't pee on me.
I like that.
Like the cows, maybe, and other stuff.
Yeah. So
Hey, we got our friend Thomas watching, and he said Sooner. He's from Oklahoma as well. He's watching from Oklahoma. So do you have any words for
I'm sorry.
We love you, Thomas. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to share this video out. We're talking about the brigade camp, the Coastal Brigade Camp. It's happening in Galveston. It starts next week. And how can somebody apply? Is it still open for kids to attend?
It is not. We are full.
Okay.
We actually have to turn away kids every year. But applications open November 1st for Camp 2020. And they're open until March 15th. And so there will be the opportunity to come next year.
How many spots are there?
We take between 30 and 35. We keep it small because everything we do is hands-on, everything.
And you're not in a position right now to run a second camp.
No.
Do you want me to be? I can help. Like start one here, like at the dike or something.
Okay.
I know a lot of friends in Texas City. I just saw my friend Michael tune in as well. So I can pull some strings if we need an extra land of like some water. We have a bunch.
If you're going to help with fundraising, then I'm down
Easy.
with that. Okay.
How much do we need?
A lot.
Okay, I can't. That's too much.
right.
It's a little bit too much out of my budget now that I hear it out loud. So
Yeah.
right now it's 9:10. This is KHEARadio.com, 99.5 FM. We're talking to Charis York and her husband Derek. They are working to put on this camp, and it's really, really, it's a cool thing because I grew up fishing, and that's what I thought we were talking about. So we were touching a little bit on fishing.
Right.
So I know a little bit about that. I wish I had an opportunity to do it more, but there's other things that I have no clue about. And all the things that you described, talking about oysters and everything else. Can we touch on any one of those topics, maybe even oysters?
Sure. Well, I'm definitely not the expert on oysters, but I can tell you, for instance, one of the things we do is we go down to Sea Center, Texas, at Lake Jackson. Have you guys been there?
Never have.
I was born in Lake Jackson, grew up in Angleton, but
I'm
I
not
have
sure
been
I've
in
ever
Sea
been
Center.
to Lake Jackson.
It's amazing. It's a Texas Parks and Wildlife facility where they grow fish that they release into our bays. Redfish, I think they do flounder and trout. And you can go to a behind-the-scenes tour, and you can see all of the massive tanks and the brood fish where they actually get the eggs and they fertilize them and they grow the fish that then they come out and they release into our bays to help restock the populations that we want to grow up so we can catch them.
So when you say grow fish, they actually they fertilize it and make it happen.
Yes. They have tanks. They bring little fish that are, a couple inches long. I think they're called fingerlings.
Okay.
And so that's actually one of the things we do at camp is they come to Sea Star Base and they release thousands of tiny little fish.
Wouldn't it be easier just to keep them? I mean, take out the middleman of having to catch them again?
It makes it easier.
No, I'm just kidding.
Then they're farm-raised fish. They're
Yeah.
not wild caught
I understand.
fish.
Okay.
Catching them in the wild.
Yeah.
I like that.
So they're made over there at the Sea Center. Then they release them, and they either go live their life or get caught, and it
Or
kind of replenishes
Get
our
eaten
supply.
by bigger fish or,
Okay.
food chain stuff.
Circle of life.
But what's really cool is all the fish that Texas Parks and Wildlife uses as brood stock as the mama and daddy fish are fish that have been caught in Galveston Bay. And they take them down there. They use those to reproduce. And then we got more fish to keep our bays stocked and healthy for us to go fishing and to catch some more fish.
What else is going on at the Sea Center in Lake Jackson?
There's also a lot of really cool exhibits when you walk around. They show different habitats, and you can see they have some massive grouper and all kinds of different fish swimming around in tanks there that you can see. They've got activities for the kids. They have a big touch table full of water with little shrimp and crabs that the kids can grab and play with. It's a great place to take the family. And from time to time, they have family fishing events where you can fish in some of their ponds.
That's awesome. So you say you've been doing this for 10 years?
We've been with Texas Brigades for 10 years, Coastal Brigade 4.
Oh, for 4. So let me has there a moment you're doing these camps that you've seen just a light turn on these kids when they're... Let's hear it. Let's hear some stories.
Pretty much every year we see it with the kids. They come in the first day, and they're all shy, right? They don't know each other. They come from all over the state. It's very likely they don't know anyone else who's at the camp, and they're quiet and they're shy. But we keep forcing them together and making them act like a team, and we take them out of their comfort zone. We make them stand up in front of the group and speak 2 or 3 or 4 times throughout the course of camp, and we make them do silly things, and we kind of break the ice, and we make them do serious things. But pretty much every year, by the end of camp, you see a change in the kids. They go from being kind of the shy, quiet. We had one young lady last year especially who was very quiet at the very beginning. And by the end, she was standing in front of the group, standing proud, talking, sharing her opinions, telling people this is, what I learned and this is what we need to do. And their parents tell us we hear back from the parents, and her mom happened to reach out to me after camp last year, and she was like, this was amazing. This is the best thing that could have happened to her. She is not the same kid that I dropped off, and this is fantastic. I don't know what you did, but keep doing it.
Are those public speaking situations important to do at that young age?
They are. I mean, I don't think I did public speaking until I was in college, and it freaked me out then. But if you get them a little bit younger and you empower them and you teach them that they can do this, and it's good, you do it kind of in a safe situation to start with where everyone's there supporting them, then when they go out and they're sitting here talking to people like you or standing in front of their local CCA chapter or something like that, talking about what they've learned, they feel like they can do it, that they have those skills and they have the knowledge, and they learn the trick, which is you have to at least feel like you know more than everybody else in the room about the subject you're talking about, and it really empowers them.
That's important. Being prepared, I think, on what you're talking about. So for me in this situation, that's why I feel very empowered talking about the Texas Coastal Brigade taking place in Galveston next week. And if you want to apply, you can go to, I believe, texasbrigade.org.
That's right.
For next year.
Yes.
And you'll have an opportunity to go
I
out
like
there.
how you do this. You come in, you talk about this amazing camp, and everybody's like, I want in, and you're like, no. not till next year. And so it's like people are like salivating, like I can't have this, so they want it more. It's a good
more.
Yeah, it's a good vibe. It's a good move. I appreciate it.
Me too. I want to learn more what's going on in Lake Jackson. I feel like there's a lot of stuff on the up and up, but is there any shady stuff? I mean, like you're building fish from scratch. I don't know how I feel about that.
Frankenstein. I like it.
There's no crazy Jurassic Park stuff happening. I mean,
Then I'm out.
None of that. No.
Yeah, a mistake
We
in the
go
lab.
there and we're like, what's behind that curtain? And we pull it back. There's a orca, like a full. We just grew it here. It's cool. Like,
You mentioned some stuff about like free fishing for the kids and like kid events over there in Lake Jackson.
Sure. Texas Parks and Wildlife runs it, so they do all kinds of great outreach for kids. I know a couple times a year they have free fishing events. I do not know specifically when they are, but maybe we can get you in touch with somebody from Sea Center. They can come hang out with you one morning.
There was the free fishing day not too long ago. It was about a month ago where you didn't even have to have a fishing license. It was just a Texas thing from my understanding. So that was pretty neat.
Yeah, Texas Parks and Wildlife does that every year to give people an opportunity to get out and fish even without a fishing license. So
we were out at Highland Bayou Park, which is in Lamarck. We saw fish jumping out the water. We were actually out there filming with and for the city of Lamarck, and I was like, I wish I had a pole. So I actually called my dad who lives down the street, and so he brought a pole, and I was just out there not catching anything. My dad knows what he's doing, and I'm just like tangling the line. I was like, I need help. I need to go to camp.
So with this camp you've been doing, what is your absolute favorite part?
So my favorite part is it's what I love and don't love, which is spending a week with teenagers. So
I totally understand.
13 to 17-year-olds. Our kids at home are still little, so I don't have a lot of everyday exposure to teenagers. So at the beginning of the week, it's really exciting. I'm like, oh, these teenagers, they're so great. Look, they can do everything by themselves.
She's like 1 hour into this.
And by the end of the week, I'm like, oh, teenagers.
Yeah.
But that's when they start kind of to make that transition, and you start to see the light bulbs go off, and they change, and then you're like, oh, I like them again. Okay, and now they're going home. That's great. I love it.
So you've been doing this for 4 years. So you've had from 13 to 17. So first year, I'm guessing maybe you had some 17-year-olds. That now puts them at about 21. Have you seen any big change in their lives because of what happened at that 15 to 17 age through?
We have.
Your program.
We have. And we're starting to see some of the cadets from Coastal Brigade specifically start to major in, wildlife and fisheries and that sort of thing. But I told you before we were at the freshwater camp at Bass Brigade. And so that was 7, 8, 9 years ago.
Okay.
And so there are graduates who've been to Texas Brigade's camps who are now outdoor educators. They went through college and sometimes even graduate school, and they're out working in the field. And doing, jobs directly related back to that. But I will tell you, my goal at Coastal Brigade is not necessarily to create more biologists, more people who want to work for Texas Parks and Wildlife or Fish and Wildlife Service. It's to have everyday people understand the coast and coastal resources and why they're important. Because I need doctors who care about our coastal resources. Right. I need accountants who care. I need teachers who care. Because all of it's important to all of us. And at the end of the day, everyone has to speak for our resources and to advocate for them. Plus, doctors make a lot more money than biologists do.
I hear you. I think there's something, man, in this area, and it's not in everybody, but it's in their blood. There's people who cannot be that far away from salt water.
That's true.
Like they have to just be near it or by it. And I know some people that are like, they'll go and they'll live in a house and rent whatever and they'll move, but they're just constantly looking for, I need to come back to. I need to have water between, sand between my toes or whatever. And that's just in their DNA. And so, it's very interesting. You guys, they're figuring that at a young age through you guys, you know? And you're right. It doesn't have to be like, I'm going this for a career, but I'm just a dad, a family guy or whatever. But I care so much about the community I live in that this program helps me want to make a difference, not just from 13 to 17, but we're instilling things that are going to affect our area for the rest of our lives.
That's right.
And I think that's amazing.
And from a biological perspective, from the health of systems like Galveston Bay, we need the freshwater inflows, right? We need the rivers that flow into the bay to help maintain the salinity for the young fish populations that are growing in the bay. And so if you live up in, Dallas, that river goes from Dallas down to Galveston Bay. So we need those people up there thinking are we protecting Galveston Bay, with the decisions they're making up there? Because it's all connected.
Yeah.
Right.
All connected. But a lot of people don't realize that. But if we can bring in these teenagers and start telling them, and then the other thing we do is we ask them to go back to their communities and share what they have learned. And let me tell you, if a 13 or 14-year-old stands up and starts telling you in a very confident voice about all of this stuff that they've learned, people listen. They really listen. I mean, you might look at another adult and be like, oh, okay, they know things. But when our youth start talking about things,
there's an
it makes a
honesty
difference.
to it.
Yes.
Yeah. I see Paulina.
It's impactful.
She is watching. Good morning, Paulina. She said she's watching from Prestige Oysters. Prestige Oysters put on the San Leon Oyster Festival in San Leon, and me and Curt, we had the opportunity to go MC that and be a part of it. Mickey Gilley was performing. It was a great event. But we learned that oysters will filter out so many square feet of water, like one oyster. And anytime you take that oyster shell and you throw it back in the water, it has the potential to grow an oyster, and that's going to help filter our water. So it's a natural way, and they're important, and I didn't realize that, and I think a lot of people don't.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to throw that rock in the water because it has the potential to grow that oyster and help filter out our bay.
You're right.
Over
and
here.
There's actually a lot of, or several of the nonprofits in the Galveston Bay area who have programs to take the oyster shells from restaurants and make sure that those get cleaned up and put back in the bay just for that exact reason, so we can keep growing oysters on them.
So in the past 9 years, the freshwater program, have any of those kids, or even in the saltwater program, do they come back and volunteer? Maybe see them go off and do other careers or go into a related career. But do they come back and volunteer at the camp?
They do. Actually, we have a couple of youth who started out as cadets the very first year, and they are coming back this year to help us out. One kind of on an instructor leader, and the other is the adult volunteer. So we are starting to see that turnaround already. Those who attended camp are coming back to help.
Okay. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Right now it's 9:22. This is Kickstart. We're going to be on till 11 a.m. We're talking about the Texas Coastal Brigades taking place in Galveston. It's been going on for a long time now. I guess the program is 26 years old. Freshwater camps, you've been involved for the past 9 years. Past 4 years has been the saltwater version. And I want to ask what the main difference. I understand there's the saltwater and the freshwater, but what are the other differences besides, everything?
Well, I mean, you start with, the different species of fish that live in the freshwater. Freshwater, we're looking at lakes and streams. The habitat around them is different. Even the plants that grow around the freshwater are different than the plants that grow around the saltwater. And the saltwater, you've got the tidal influence, right? The water that's rising and falling on a diurnal cycle every day. You don't see that so much up in the freshwater. Also, our camp is in West Texas that talks about freshwater, so it's very different over there than it is here on the coast. Some of the sampling techniques that Parks and Wildlife uses in freshwater and saltwater are actually the same. It's just everything's bigger on the coast. Bigger nets, bigger boats, bigger everything, bigger fish.
That's what Texas kind of has that. It's at least instilled in us everything's bigger in Texas. You being from... did you say Missouri?
Missouri. Being
from Missouri, going to school in Oklahoma, ending up down here. Is it true, or is that just a misconception that people have? This coastal life, is everything kind of bigger here, or is at least our persona or our attitude, we feel like we're bigger in Texas?
Persona and attitude is bigger in Texas.
And our fish isn't bigger than the ones in the lakes?
So.
Well, we don't have an ocean in Missouri, so the freshwater fish
you're saying
or the saltwater fish are bigger.
You also were never your own country, so... No.
Yeah,
that's true.
We're in Texas country here, and this is an awesome program. So it's a youth program. It's been taking place for a while. What are some other things that the kids are going to be doing while they are hanging out with you guys?
So we dissect fish. We start from the inside out. So they cut them open, and they learn the names of all the different things. They learn how to tell the age of a fish. There's a little bone in their ear called the otolith that you cut open, and it grows rings like rings on a tree. Yeah, and you can count the rings to tell how old the fish are.
And
Don't ask me any
accurate.
more questions. That's about all I know.
That's crazy.
What's the oldest fish you've ever come across?
That you can remember? 200
Me
years
personally,
old.
just a couple years old, but some of the Parks and Wildlife guys who do it all the time, they've seen them a lot older than I have.
What's the average span of a
fish's life?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I mean, is there ancient?
I'm the plant girl here, not the fish girl.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Let's talk plants then. Let's talk plants. So I understand.
Marshes. We can talk marshes, coastal marshes.
Describe a marsh.
A marsh is an area that is shallow
I always
water.
wondered, so you're talking about the green?
Yes.
Like you see an ocean, there's a patch of green. Can you stand on that?
So not out in the ocean. The marsh is going to be close. Yeah. So like if you're driving down I-45 going to Galveston and you look on the right and there's all that that Spartina alterniflora, that marsh grass out there, that is marsh. So it's standing in anywhere between 6 inches to maybe a foot of water, depending on what the tide is doing and how much rain we've had recently. So can you stand on it? Like sort of.
With boots.
It's also usually pretty mucky. You're going to sink into that.
What kind of life is living in there, in the marsh?
Everything. It is so important. That is the nursery habitat for all of our fish species. Little baby redfish, small trout, flounder, shrimp, crabs. They all hang out in that marsh.
How do they live there, and then do they end up back into the Gulf?
Mm-hmm.
Or like? Okay.
So they live different parts depending on the species of fish. They live different parts of their life cycle in the bay and out in the open water, and they come back and forth. That's why those connections out into the Gulf of Mexico are so important, because they come back and forth at different points in their life. But especially when they're juveniles, that marsh is a nursery habitat for all of those fish. And if we don't protect that marsh, we're never going to have big fish to catch.
What can we do to protect it?
Well, all of that marsh on the way to Galveston has actually been restored. So continuing to restore. Galveston Bay Foundation every spring runs Marsh Mania, where you can actually volunteer and go out and plant marsh grass. You can help build more marshes.
Is there like a seed that you like just throw out
you
there?
Plant the grasses.
Like you have to take a patch of grass and actually plant it in there?
Yep. One little piece of grass at a time.
No joke.
Yes.
One piece of grass at a time.
Well, I mean, they're kind of tall grasses.
Okay.
It's not like the grass in your yard.
Well, that's what I'm thinking of, because
like
they do it in
chunk.
Okay, it's like in pallets and squares. Because if I had a dead patch of grass, I'd be cut it out.
It's not in pallets and squares. It really is like one little handful of grass at a time. Yeah, but marsh grasses love to grow. If you give them the chance, they will just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow and just reproduce and get bigger. And one little piece will become one little patch.
Yeah. So you mentioned reproduce. Does grass have a life cycle?
It does.
Okay, and then it'll die, but it kind of has seed that kind of makes it keep going. So what does that life cycle look like?
So like any flowering plant, it doesn't look like what you probably think of as a flower, but grasses make flowers. They make pollen and seeds, and all of that stuff happens. But also they reproduce without seed. They have a lot of underground growth, and so one plant will grow underground through the roots and make more. And so our marsh plants, we see more underground growth to make more plants than we do seeds.
Okay, that's interesting. You know, even in my yard, and I had my mindset on this change because I love having green grass. I want it to be the best on my street. It never is, but at least I have a goal,
you
right?
wanted some awards in your yard.
I need an award.
You wanted a sign.
At least a sign that says best yard on the street.
Right.
Even if I have to get it myself.
Yeah,
so,
make it yourself. It'll be fun.
We have a friend, AJ, with Hippie Fertilizing. Mm-hmm. And so he has a different way of thinking, using all natural products and talking about clover. Because I look at clover and I'm like, that's not supposed to be there. He's like, no, that's like the best. It needs to be there because it's all part of our ecosystem. And you need to feed the soil, because once you feed the soil, the grass will take care of itself. If there's weeds, if there's something that you don't want there, then just cut it. You know, like move it, and it's just going to fertilize. He's talking about the nitrous. And do you have any thoughts on any of this? Is this correct?
He's saying all the right stuff. So you're right. The nitrogen in the soil, you need the legumes, the pea, bean family of plants, because they fix the nitrogen that's in the soil, and they make it into a way that the other plants can absorb it and use it to grow. And one of the things about using all natural is that there's a connection back to our water. So whatever we do on the land is going to impact our water. So what you're putting on your grass at home, when it rains, that's going to wash into our bayous, which feed into Galveston Bay, which is where all of our fish are growing, right? So if we're putting all kinds of chemicals and pesticides and things down, and that washes into the water, that's going to go out, and that might kill the marsh. It might harm the fish. So your pal with his hippie approach has a real great approach to help Galveston Bay and our fish as well.
So, I'm a guy who honestly never crossed my mind. I
Right.
don't think, I don't go out in my yard. I'm usually like, oh, I need to cut my grass. Not like, what do I need to do? What is something you want to tell a guy like myself who has never even thought? I grew up on the coast. Like I said, I drive, and my biggest thought of seeing these marshes is, I wonder if I can stand on that. Not the life that's in there. What would you say to, like I said, somebody's out there listening who's like, man, I never even thought about that, to maybe start that conscious decision of where does it start? What can we start thinking about? What can we start moving?
Yeah. Start at home. I mean, we just talked about your yard. Think about what you're putting down on it every year. Do you really need to put that stuff down? Is there an organic option that you can find at the store down the street and try that out? Especially if you're looking at fertilizer or something like that, compost is always a great option instead of a synthetic fertilizer. And also, through the Texas A&M, you can get a soil test. They have a little kit where you can dig up some soil from your yard. You send it up to a lab in Texas A&M. It costs $7, and they will tell you what's in your soil and if you even need to put anything on your yard, because the nitrogen, the phosphorus, all of that makes the plants grow is in the soil. And so they might tell you, like, you're good. You don't need to fertilize for 2 years or or whatever. And so save your money. Use it to buy a fishing license. Go fish in the marsh and protect Galveston Bay by doing nothing.
Is our ecosystem in a very delicate place, or are we doing good? I mean, are things like on the verge of, I know there's like a lot of conversation about the bees and, hey, we need the bees, but do we need the marsh? Like what's going on with the current state of the Gulf Coast?
So I wouldn't say it's on the verge, but I would say it's not on the upswing either. We're definitely a little on the decline there. And a lot of it has to do with how many people live here. But we're getting more and more people every day. Everyone keeps coming back. And it's not necessarily that you are bad or I am bad. It's, this person plus this person plus this person, each one doing maybe a little something not so great, all adds up when you take into account the number of people that are here. And so if each one of us are doing something small, like, thinking about our land a little bit different, if we're, protecting the bees or all of that, then especially when it comes to water and what's running off the land. Because like I said, everything is going to wash right into Galveston Bay. Everything washes from our streets, from our homes, into our bayous, our creeks, which go right into Galveston Bay. And so all of those things that we're doing are going to have an impact on the bay and on the fish and the oysters. And whether that's a positive or a negative impact is up to us and what we decide to do.
Is that the one thing, like making sure your trash doesn't go into the bay,
that's
being responsible?
That's a huge one.
If
trash.
you could pick one thing, would it be that one?
Pick up your trash. It's crazy when you're out fishing how much trash you see around. It's ridiculous.
So we were talking to the Texas City Emergency Management Department over for the city of Texas City, and we were learning about the pump system that they have that prevents the water from rising, too much in Texas City right there. So they were saying some of the things that people can do and they don't realize is make sure that you don't have trash, because all that water is draining to the north side over by Moses Lake. And there's a specific like backhoe, like this crane, that its only job is to pick up the trash. And what that is doing is causing the water to be blocked from flowing and can contribute to flooding. So
the same goes for the storm drains in your neighborhood. I don't know if you've ever paid attention when you're driving down the street. If you don't have ditches on the side, you have a storm drain. You have it's kind of cut into the curb and maybe there's a grate. Those things get blocked and they stop the water, or the trash that's on the road goes down there. So, some of that trash might start in your neighborhood and flow all the way down and get stuck by that crane that has to scoop it up. So why not just pick it up when you see it instead of sending it all the way down there?
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as these camps go, so parents all over Texas sending you their children, their teenage children.
Yes.
They're angels.
Let me ask you this, and this is going to be a crazy question. What are some of the dangers you incur of this camp, and what are you guys doing as a response to that?
Okay, so we are a licensed Texas youth camp, so we follow all of the rules that the state of Texas gives us. So we're related to health forms and lifeguards and wearing life jackets. But we also, the very first day, we do boater safety education with the kids, because we're going to take them out on boats, Parks and Wildlife boats. They're going to go out on kayaks. So the first thing we do is we make sure they know how to be safe on a boat. We bring in a certified instructor. They learn about life jackets, how to be safe. All throughout the week, we do safety talks with them. Talk about the safety gear that's on the boat, like the fire extinguisher and the kill switch and all of those things that you need to know about. And those are teaching opportunities. And so getting them at that age to do all of those teaching opportunities about how to be safe on the water and near the water. We have an angler education class where they learn the fishing rules and regulations given the outdoor annual. So when they're out fishing, they know the regulations, how many of which species they are allowed to keep, if any, what size limits they need to be, make sure they're following the rules. So the day when they meet up with a game warden, they're on the right side of the law.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
What's something that you have as a goal in your career that you haven't yet accomplished?
Whoa. Okay. I don't know. That's a really.
We need more marshes.
We do need more marshes.
See, there you go.
He is right about that.
Because I feel like the saltwater camp, you saw that and be like, hey, is this like your baby? Is this like your project?
It's for sure our baby. Most definitely. And, one of the things is most of us don't get to work with our spouse through our jobs. And, Derek and I work for different organizations, but this is one place where we get to come together and actually work together as a couple. So that's actually really special and makes it really interesting for us. Mm-hmm. So
interesting, good. No, I'm just kidding.
Typically interesting, good,
Yeah,
but,
that's good.
Occasionally interesting, bad.
She's like, I will push you in the water.
But, one of the things I want to mention also is we said camp is here in Galveston. We actually get a lot of support from our local businesses as sponsors for camp. So businesses like OJ Marine, Millennium Marine, Chicken Boy Lures, Saltwater Recon, all of them help with financial donations to defray the cost of camp so it doesn't cost as much for the kids to come.
Does that freshwater camp in West Texas still go on?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess are there other ones throughout the state or even across the country, or is there other programs like this?
So, yes. So Texas Brigades just works in Texas. There's 7 different camps. But there's a camp up in the Northeast, and I'm not going to remember which state it is right now, that heard about Texas Brigades and wanted to do it. And so they came down and they learned all about camp, and they went up and they created their own camp based on the model that we're using here.
That's cool. Are y'all pretty open to sharing all that information, or kind of like, this is all proprietary? We started this and did a lot of work.
No, we share. We put it out there, and we want other people. I mean, if you want to be part of Texas Brigades, then you need to come through our organization, and we'll work with you. And it's a not-for-profit, so always working on fundraising and that kind of thing. But, the other thing I want to make sure that I mention today is Derek and I don't do it alone. We have a whole committee of volunteers and instructors who help us all year long to plan for camp. We mentioned Derek's with Texas Parks and Wildlife. Also, I'm with the AgriLife Extension Service. We have groups like Fishing's Future and the FinAddict Foundation, CCA Texas. All of those groups spend a lot of time helping us put together the schedule and get everything lined up. And they teach at camp as well. So we do not do it by ourselves.
How many people does it take? How many people are involved in that team, if you had to estimate?
So our committee that works all year is about 15 people, but throughout the course of camp, we'll have over 30 instructors come and go throughout the week to teach them all the different, we bring in instructors who are experts in their field. So I don't have to talk about oysters because we're bringing in somebody who knows a lot more about oysters than I do. I don't have to be the boater education person. I know the lady who can teach you how to be safe on boats, and she comes and gives that talk instead of me.
I love oysters. Do you eat oysters?
I don't. I think we had this conversation last time I was in.
We
had
did.
an oyster lady.
Oysters
Grill
are
them
good.
up.
Eat them raw. Just fry them.
Dude, I'm a land
Doesn't
dweller.
matter.
I don't deal with the ocean too much on all aspects.
We need to work on that.
And that's what she's pulling me. She's pulling me in some boats. I'm gonna be like orange life vest. Like, oh no.
Today we're talking about the Texas Coastal Brigade, and we're talking to an expert in her field. Could you see yourself doing anything else other than what you're doing? And for me, I love coming to work because I love doing what we get to do. Could you ever see yourself doing anything else?
I really can't. And it's really funny that you asked me that question because just last night I thought, what else would I do? And I was like, I don't even know what else I would do. Like, nothing else even sounds interesting
Secretary
to me. No,
work
that
at a
sounds
school.
horrible. That sounds awful. I do not want to do any
Work
of those
at a
things.
refinery.
No.
Like my friend Cody Garza, martial arts instructor.
Those are all great jobs, but for me, it just doesn't feel right.
She's like, no, you're like martial arts instructor. She's like, well, maybe.
Shout out to Premier Martial Arts.
I mean, that sounds great for them. But
cage fighter, professional wrestler who is actually coming in after you.
Oh,
That's
geez, I
who
better
you
be
need to
careful on
You
the
see
way out
Nate,
there.
he's pacing out there. He's coming in at 10 o'clock, but there's a match tonight that he
He's ready.
I'm a little concerned.
The comments are blowing up already with the trash talk for the match tonight. I'm with that.
It's in Santa Fe. It's a local promotion as well. So
That's fantastic.
yeah. Can you share a little bit about what Derek does? I mean, whenever like his job at the coastal fisheries, you have to know a little bit about it, right?
I do know a little bit. Derek has been with coastal fisheries for 15 years, so I've picked up a few things along the way. So he works in the office there in Dickinson, and they're the main office that monitors the health of the Galveston Bay ecosystem. So he's a technician out there. So his job is actually to be one of the people out on the water collecting the data. So they go out, they do oyster dredges, they do shrimp trawls, they run gill nets, they do all sorts of different sampling techniques to collect all the different species. And they collect them, measure them, collect data on them, and then put them back in the water.
Wow. Do they test the water as well, or just
do.
the species?
I don't know exactly what they do, but I know they at least measure the oxygen level in there and some other things in there. Texas has one of the longest ongoing data sets for their bays. So I think it's somewhere more than like 30 years worth of data on Galveston Bay. And that's the information that they take when they're making recommendations for things like fishing regulations. How many of what species can you catch? What's the right size limit? When they're changing bag limits and things like that, a lot of times they go back and they look at that data that Texas Parks and Wildlife has been taking. The other really cool thing that Derek does is he
gets to be married to you.
Well, yes.
Okay.
But at work,
okay,
he captains their offshore research vessel. So state waters in Texas go out for a couple of miles, and so Parks and Wildlife is charged with monitoring those as well. So he drives I think it's about a 50-foot shrimp boat out into the Gulf of Mexico to take samples out of there. But they're also working on a program with NOAA where they catch sharks.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. I think she's going to sit on that for a while. She's like, I've been waiting just to let everybody know I'm married to a captain, by the way. If y'all didn't notice.
Who catch sharks?
He's a shark wrangling captain,
yes.
And we changed the world together in the Gulf Coast. So
you're welcome.
Yeah. Right.
So you mentioned they test these species and then they return them.
Mm-hmm. If they're alive, they put them back in the water. Sometimes if they're small or whatever, they might not make it, but they do their best to return them live as much as possible.
Even the sharks?
Yeah.
How would you? I mean, do they sedate them? Like what? I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna catch this shark. I got my Mickey Mouse fishing rod
down
out here.
Right.
Mickey Mouse pulls him in. I reel him in, and then I put him in. He's not going to be happy. But then I'm going to be trying to get him back in the water.
So when they're sampling sharks in the Gulf, they run a mile-long line that's got hooks every, I think it's 100 feet. Derek might tell me I'm wrong. But they have a whole setup on their boat where if they catch a big shark, they have a shark cradle that they drop down into the water, and they get the shark into the cradle, and they lift it, hoist it up onto the boat. Then they have a hose that goes in its mouth to keep the water flowing through it, to keep the shark alive.
Okay.
While they get all the measurements, and then they drop the cradle back into the water, and the shark can swim out.
Wow.
Nobody takes a moment to try to attempt to ride the shark.
So you do have to keep the shark from moving and flopping around too much. So that does require to kind of straddle and not ride.
I was just kidding, but she's like, oh, by the way.
But they do have to, you don't want to squash the shark.
Here's a picture of my captain husband riding a shark.
But they do.
A captain hat.
Right.
Ride him rodeo. Let's go.
Yeah. She's like, remember Sheila that was mean to me in high school? Well, here I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always fun when they're out in the Gulf and he sends me pictures like, look, we caught an 8-foot shark today. And I'm
Lordy.
like,
wow. So when I was a kid,
it's safe.
A shark tooth necklace. That's about the closest I've gotten to a shark.
Maybe her husband got you that shark tooth.
He might have.
He may have. What's the biggest one? You mentioned an 8-foot shark. Is there like a weight limit? Because I saw they caught like a 563-pound tiger shark for tackle time last week out at the Texas City Dike. And then I think 2 years ago there was a record, at least for our area. It was a hammerhead, and I can't remember. It was like 700 or something.
I think the biggest one that they've caught is maybe 400 or 500 pounds on their boat. So the largest one I remember was about 8 feet long, and I think it was a lemon shark. But Derek's probably cringing listening to this. No, that's wrong. But
he's like making up shark names, like it's
lemon shark.
Right.
It's a plant that works, right?
Right.
Orange shark.
So our initial goal here was talk about the camp.
Baby
Yes.
shark.
Right.
Baby shark.
Lord. Everybody just turned the radio off. I cannot believe he said that. I'm done. What does the world, what does the coast, what does Texas need to know about this camp as we're wrapping up? You can't get in this year. Done deal if you're trying.
Done.
But what can we say to entice the people maybe to jump on board next year?
Sure thing. So, Coastal Brigade is really about creating our next generation of coastal conservation leaders. So if you know someone who's 13 to 17 and will be that age next summer, who you think needs this experience of this hands-on learning, send them our way. Or, if you're too old and you don't know anybody that age range, we're a nonprofit organization. You can go to texasbrigades.org and make a little donation and help bring another kid to camp.
And your husband's involved in this as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
He just commented back, said 13 foot.
13 foot. He's
That's
like,
awesome.
Charis, it was way bigger than 8.
right.
And that was just the baby shark, so I'd hate to see Grandpa.
So pretty much, you're signing up for this camp. You're learning to survive the zombie apocalypse. You're hanging out with the shark rider, at this camp. I mean, I see all ups.
There is some fishing time, and we do eat fish at camp also.
Right, you're on boats.
So.
What if you learned how to cook it? Is that something y'all do? To be like, hey, this is how you catch, this is how you dissect it, this is how you clean it, and then this is what you do with the meat.
So we have talked off and on about how we need to have a cooking session. We haven't quite made that happen yet. So, if there's a chef out there who wants to come and teach us how to cook fish at camp, maybe we can talk about it.
That is a good idea.
I think you should have a day where it's like you.
We teach them how to fillet fish.
That's cool.
awesome.
Right?
You
Because
catch
very
your
few
fish,
people know how to do that.
and you have to cook it. If you don't catch anything, sorry, bud.
You don't eat.
You need to step up your game. Today you ain't eating.
What's
No food today.
What's something else y'all would like to add to the camp in the future that maybe isn't here yet?
Like I said, the cooking. We added kayaking last year, which has been great. We fish off the dock right now. It'd be awesome to take the kids out on boats fishing. All kinds of stuff. But we have a really packed schedule.
Sure.
It's hard to shoe anything else into that schedule.
How many days is the camp?
It is 5 days.
Man, y'all can get a lot done in 5 days.
We keep them going. There's not a whole lot of free time. There's no swimming time. There's no nap time at camp. It's go, go, go.
Is that something the kids ask for? Be like, can we just go ahead and jump in? Or can we take a break? Let me breathe or eat a snack.
We give them lots of snacks. Bluebell is actually a sponsor of camp, so there's lots of ice cream consumed.
Everybody was just like, I'm signing up.
Bluebell.
Bluebell.
Tell
There will
me
be
more.
ice cream all week long because you get hot and tired, and a little ice cream goes a long way.
Do the kids fully know what they're going to be doing? Or is it kind of a shock and surprise and be like, can we get a break?
Some of them do and some of them don't. So if they've been to another brigade's camp, maybe they went to Bass Brigade or they went to one of the Buckskin Brigade's camps, they have some idea what they're getting into. But every camp's a little bit different because those focus on deer and bass versus us here talking about the coast. And so, a lot of the kids who come maybe haven't even been to Galveston before. They don't know kind of what to expect. So when you walk out of the car and the humidity hits you in the face and they're just like, whoa.
Are you kidding me right now?
Do I have to be here all week?
Man, it's been hot. This past week, I was talking to someone about this morning. It was at a workout, and I work out whenever I can, but earlier in the morning, it's cooler. But there's that 4 o'clock or even in the middle of the day, it's so hot. You can smell it. There's a heat smell, the grass is cooking, and I'm
Right.
concerned about the marshes because it's so hot. I'm like, is this okay for the ecosystem? It's so hot out there.
The marshes have been here longer than we have. They've
Okay.
been here for years, thousands and thousands of years. Those marshes are A-okay.
So they're used to it.
They're fine. They're
Well, I'm
better
not.
than we are.
I've only been here 33 years.
They're
and-
better than you are.
Right.
They're fine.
Okay,
They're
yes.
good.
It's never been this hot.
33 years. So it's 9:48. If you're watching on Facebook, smash the share button right now. We're talking about the Texas Coastal Brigades. It's a camp. It's a nonprofit organization that is doing some really cool things, and it has the potential and is already changing the world. It's at least changing, these kids, and as they come back and can kind of contribute to our society, maybe they go into a career, maybe they go into another career, but then they always have that on the mind. Our ecosystem is so important. And I've seen a lot of politicians, and I don't like talking about politics, but they are talking about the ecosystem, our world, and it's almost like a crisis, but we just need to keep it on our mind. And if everybody does something, we can make a difference.
It is important. We are all connected. We're all connected to each other and to the land and to the water around us. And so it is our job to be stewards of this land and this water that's been given to us. And so if we're not going to take care of it, who is?
Right.
That's true.
So, but there, I think one other thing that I should probably mention to you guys is, so I think a couple weeks ago, our friend Cindy Wynn was on the show with you guys, and she might have mentioned the crawfish boil fundraiser that we did in May, but we're going to do another one next May. We held it in League City at Walter Hall Park. So if you like to eat crawfish and win prizes, that's
Chevy,
the
you don't
way
like
you
crawfish,
can come
but
and
I love me some prizes, baby.
you can meet some
I
of the
never
kids.
win, but
Hey.
yeah, that's awesome.
But you can meet some of the kids who are at camp. They'll be there talking about their experience, get a firsthand account from them. Like I said, eat some crawfish and help us raise some money for next year's camp, too. So that'll be in early May next year.
Will there be any shark riding at this fundraiser?
Probably
We're just gonna leave it as a
not.
teaser. You don't need to say no. You know, could be,
I'll
could
just
not.
say, who knows?
You're gonna have to come and
What
check
does
it
the
out.
future hold? I don't know.
So do you like eating seafood, or is
I
it
do like seafood
okay?
very much.
What's your favorite?
Flounder? Love flounder.
How is it prepared?
If you blacken it, especially if it's stuffed with like boudin and shrimp, so good.
Yeah, that's what I like too. Flounder. My dad and me, growing up, we went fishing all the time, but like fish fries, and it was always flounder. That's what you wanted. You'd fry the fish, and then as I got older, it's like, oh, there's other ways to cook it, and it's good too. Like blackened or grilled. You can stuff, whatever in it. It's all awesome. I love seafood.
It's delicious.
And it's all fresh.
It is.
Whenever you're here in the Gulf Coast. So we're very blessed to live in the area that we are, that we're located in. There's a variety of everything. You can go to like country living like this way. Then you got the Galveston, Texas City, KHEA, League City, and then you're in Houston. So there's a variety and a little something for everybody. And Galveston's just different. And I think it's different on purpose. But you ride into the island, you have your windows down, there's a smell. The salt water hits you, and you mentioned that earlier, and it becomes a part of you.
Right.
And it's really powerful. So it's a cool camp. Chevy, you have any other thoughts or questions about it?
No, man. Like I said, we kind of came in thinking one thing, but I think we were.
Welcome to my life.
Right. No. I think it was. I think it's awesome. I think it's. We thought, we're gonna learn about fishing, but now we kind of came in, and it's a whole another vibe of teaching a whole generation how to appreciate the world around them and the spot that they live. All across Texas, not that they live here, they come here, but it is just a different culture. If you live middle of Texas, you don't understand exactly how that feels or how that looks or how that smells, and there's this connection you can make towards it, and I really feel like it's going to make a giant difference in a lot of people's lives. And
I think so.
I agree. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Maybe plug the website or the camp one more time?
I was going to say, if you want to find out more about Coastal Brigade or any of the other brigades camps, you go to texasbrigades.org. You can find Coastal Brigade on Facebook, Coastal Brigade Texas Brigades. We'll be posting pictures next week from camp, and you can see firsthand what all the kids are doing and follow along, and then convince all the teenagers 13 to 17-year-olds to apply and come back next year.
My final question is, do you have any remedies, any cures for seasickness? I tend to get out on a little queasy whenever I go too far out and it's like a bumpy ride.
Oh yeah, that's why I stay off the water.
I also have that problem.
Okay.
Derek does not. He laughs at me.
He's riding sharks, of course. Maybe that's the cure.
Right.
Shark riding.
My only suggestion is a Gatorade tastes the same going down as it tastes coming back up.
Delicious.
So just drink a lot of
I
that.
like this.
And try not to upchuck on your husband because he gets mad when that happens. I speak from personal experience.
That's fair.
He's like, you got it on my captain hat.
I was reeling in a fish and he tried to take my fishing rod away. And I was like, get away. And then I upchucked on him.
Oh, man.
I caught a snapper. It was good.
Wow. That's a good lesson to learn.
The couple that
And he's
fishes
rolling
and
his
throws
eyes
up
right now.
together
Yeah.
stays together.
I have not found a good solution except drink more Gatorade.
Somebody told me jump in the water, but I was like, okay, how far are you out? Like, okay, they just caught a shark on this side.
Right.
You want me to swim on that side?
Like, can I just take a bucket and pour it on me? Is it the same?
I smell like Gatorade, which is delicious.
Right.
An alligator's going to come out Gatorade. I don't know what's going to happen. There's literal monsters out here. Giant, a 13-foot shark that Derek caught, and you want me to? I don't know. So that may be an option. I haven't tried it, but we'll see.
I'm a land dweller. Stay on the
Dramamine.
land.
I've tried the bands.
You can get patches from the doctor,
I need to try a
prescription
patch.
strength.
Just sleep on the way out because that's the part. It's like, oh, we're gonna ride out for 3 hours. how long? You want me to just ride over 3 hours? Like, I want to fish like as soon as I'm in the boat. Like, burp. Okay, we're there.
Right.
And I got my Mickey Mouse fishing pole, and Chevy has his Donald Duck, and we're gonna catch whatever we
to
catch.
this day, he's like, it's throwback. It's vintage. I've had it since I was a kid.
Me and Chevy are on the marsh, like figured out a way to stand on it.
I knew I could.
We caught the baby redfish. And
you know, I make a joke. I've been thinking about that since I was a kid driving into Galveston. I'd see all this, what I didn't know was called marshes. Now I do. And I'm always like, I wonder if what is that? Is that land? Is that sea? Is that grass? Long grass? Is it 8 foot down? I don't know, But now I know.
Now you know.
36 years old. Just figured that out.
yeah,
Hey, it's important to never stop learning.
You know?
You're
I
good.
agree. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks
You're awesome.
for having me.
We appreciate you. If you want to find more, you go to texasbrigade.org and learn more, sign up, see how you can get involved. Maybe you want to volunteer and you want to start impacting the future. And if you want to like help support our ecosystem, that's a great way to learn as well as a volunteer. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have the UPW heavyweight champion,
Inaugural,
Nate Slater.
First ever.
Dude, I'm concerned because there's some drama going down on the feed.
On the comments.
But I'm about it.
It's good.
I'm about it. We're taking a quick break. Coming up next, we have some Toby Mac. Edge of my seat. Stay tuned. Go download the KHEA radio app where you can stream us from anywhere in the world. It's easy to do. Search KHEA if you're on the Google Play, Android bandwagon, or go on the App Store and search KHEA radio. This is Toby Mac, Edge of my seat. Sometimes people are like, I want to hear this song.
Like
Nobody hears the song unless you're on the app or 99.5 FM. Hey, it was nice to meet you.
So that was totally random. I hope that was okay.
Everything was great.
solid.
No, you did awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did awesome.
I've never seen anybody get so hype about plants.
Botany, baby!
She's in that.
Botany!
But I'll just tell
Let me
you.
go grab the stick.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
into
well,
this.
botany kind of reminds me of like robots. That's what I think of when I think, yeah, botany. That's cool.
I routinely roll into situations like this where people are like, "You're doing this," and I was like, "That is not what my husband does." What are we doing? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So
It was
thank
nice
you
to
so
meet you.
much.
And let us know. We'd love for Derek to come talk about the coastal fisheries as well. Or next time you have an event, reach out to us. We can talk about it. It's really a great cause. So thank you. It's nice to meet you. So what's up, folks? Feel free to share this video. We were talking about botany, the brigade camp. We were talking about everything that's going on in our current climate and ecosystem. If you want to get involved, it's easy. It's easy to get involved. And, maybe you feel like I can't make a difference. But seriously, if everybody does something different, and that's what we learned from Dr. Chapa, who comes in every Tuesday talking about health. If you do, oh, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, large.
And what, I haven't actually.
Chevy, what size do you wear? Large? XL? What size? Do you have a 2X? Thank you. Kurt's going to be so mad he's in Florida. I hope he's not watching. Oh, we got this. Kurt's going to be mad. Oh, he done goofed. He would literally cancel his vacation for this shirt. Dude, that's what's up. Oh, and Eldridge, you have one for Eldridge too. Kurt's going to be upset. This just makes my day that much better.
Every time you see Kurt, I want you to wear that shirt.
Oh, man. This is great. I should tag him. He's maybe watching. He'll go back and watch later. Texas Brigades. I love it. If you've heard of the Brigades, maybe you want to get a shirt. My guess is go to the website and hit them up. And you'll be able to see how you can purchase one. Support the nonprofit cause. Support our ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got the champ. The inaugural champ. Nate Slater. What's up, man?
What's up, man? You doing all right?
Doing good.
Nice to meet you.
Gardy.
Nate.
I feel like I know you.
I think we've chatted a little bit.
You've been checking out. You've been watching this live feed, checking out these comments.
Dude, there's some drama going on.
Boys.
Man.
Hey, that's one thing I can say about these UPW fans and all the boys. They throw down. They're in it. They're
Man,
involved.
they definitely throw down. That's for
Right,
sure.
right.
TexasBrigades.org.
Not just physically, but verbally as well.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to be able to back up what you talk.
Is that important? That's important.
No, it's real important.
We're seeing a few messages here from Mr. Johnny Blade.
So here was the plan.
Is his mic okay?
You can scoot up a little bit more, or actually scoot this. Either way, you need to be like that close so
All
we
right,
can hear you
we
good. Let me hear you.
We good?
Man, that's a nice belt. Can I see it?
Oh, you want to hold?
Is that
the
okay? Is it okay if I take a picture
I
with
mean,
it?
I'm not Steen, so I saw you taking pictures with his belt yesterday. So,
Is that okay? I'm trying to collect belts, so one day my kids will be like, "Dude, Dad, you were so awesome. You earned these." I'm like, "Sure, son."
Right.
Yeah, Dad. Yeah, your dad
you
is
me
really
take
cool.
your pick again?
Of course.
Double on it.
Do I look like I earned this?
You do.
Let me get a couple so I can smile in one and mean mug in the other.
You want me to stand behind you?
No.
Then that'll
be more intimidating.
yeah, that'll make him look way small. He's actually cousins with JT Royce.
Man, JT's been running his mouth today too.
Yeah, you know the thing about JT.
You know what's funny is that you held that belt before JT did.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Well, JT, he's a different beast, and I will say this: I've seen him perform. I've seen him put on some crazy matches, and I'm excited to be able to be there for this event tonight because I know for a fact if I have to get in that ring myself or send Chevy, I'm going to throw Chevy in there if I have to.
I don't know. Chevy's
like shaking his head like,
Chevy's seen Galactica work though.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you want to get in there.
Dude, he's a legend. I know. I understand that part.
Galactica. I think the last match, I think he did, and I think he has a different name for it, but it was like a double Canadian destroyer over the top rope. Like,
yeah.
And I know he calls it something else, but I'm just going to go with the Canadian destroyer, and it was one of the most gorgeous moves from the whole.
I saw.
Show.
Yeah, because the ceiling is like 40 feet high, and there was like 40 feet high. I was like, their feet are about to touch the ceiling. There was a bunch of people just.
Yeah, well, he just flips. Most people do it with one people, but he actually connected two people together and then flipped over them and then kind of flipped them with his momentum and dropped them both on the back of their head. And I think your cousin was actually involved in that.
He was. He was in the middle.
Yeah.
There was like the bottom, the middle, then the roof.
I got to make a little correction because I've been saying it too, and it's bad. I don't say juju, but they don't call them belts. They're titles.
Titles.
They're championships. Yeah, I've been saying belt, but wrestlers get a little.
It's a title.
Agitated when you call. They're like belts hold up your pants.
Yeah.
Titles
Agreed.
are championships.
Agreed.
So
it keeps my back from being strained like Curt.
Right.
So Curt's in Florida, living it up, I guess, and he strained his back bending over. So I
picking up a water bottle.
How do you strain your back? But wasn't he running his mouth like a month ago?
He runs his mouth pretty often.
It made me laugh because I don't think they've seen you like in person. You know what I'm saying? And they said, "Oh, Nate's Lee." I said, "That's a big old boy. That is a big old boy."
Yeah. 6'3", 300.
Those are some big numbers.
Those are big numbers.
Yeah. Where are you from? Because I know you're on the other side of town. Right?
We live right there in Jersey Village.
How long have you been wrestling?
Training included 15 years.
15 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Santa Fe, this was the first, like the inaugural match for UPW. You show up, claim the belt, take it, and just show up. I mean, Chevy was there. He filmed it.
Yeah,
Man,
here we are.
And I saw the video.
Right.
There's a lot taking place. It was like nonstop action.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 20-man battle royal. How many?
22, I believe.
22. And at the end of when all the dust and blood and sweat cleared, Mr. Nate Slater stood tall, grasping the championship in his grip.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you weren't really surprised, were you?
I mean, anything can happen, but I was definitely ready to take it. So,
and this tonight, you're facing a new opponent, right?
David Duperon.
Have you ever stepped into a ring with him before?
Let's see. We saw each other a little bit on April 19th at the inaugural show. He tried to jump me at another show, Boneyard Wrestling, about a month ago. It didn't fare too well. So this will be the first time we actually get to go into the ring together one-on-one. Yeah.
And do you have any predictions like early on right now?
Bodies flying.
I saw a flyer, and I've never met David in person, but do you know which flyer I'm talking
where
about?
they're facing each other?
It was. I was intimidated by looking at the flyer. Who created that?
Because the size difference was relevant on the flyer.
Orlando Castro with Houston Shots.
Okay. That was good. And I also saw David, he was like, hey, this isn't a promo. This is just me talking. This is facts. And he feels a little disrespected. Do you think that's fair?
I mean, you can feel however you want to feel. Come and take it.
Yeah.
That's all I want. Come and take it. Bring your best. Show up tonight. Bring your A game.
So you work for promotions, say, all around Houston area. You've done various things. What right now, champion of Undisputed Pro Wrestling, what do you feel separates UPW? It's an upstart, just had their first event. This is event number 2. What's really making them stand out? What do you love being a part of the UPW?
I love the fresh crowd. I love the fact that we're bringing wrestling back to an area that hasn't had wrestling in a while.
Right.
From my understanding, You know, Santa Fe hasn't seen wrestling in a while.
Or if ever. I can't remember there ever being – it's kind of hit all around Texas City, Alvin. I know there used to be years ago CWF, like Coastal Wrestling, whatever, and that kind of bounced around. But I lived 36 years of my life in Santa Fe, and I don't ever remember a wrestling show. So
just the fact of doing something new, starting something new, and getting to watch it grow from the ground up. And
you've been a part of other, let's say, startups, other one shot shows or whatever. I'm guessing. What did you feel stepping into the gym there in Santa Fe and seeing, I want to say, around 350 people at the inaugural show?
Man, stepping out, and I mean 350's large.
It's especially for the first show.
Yeah, for the first show, it's great. Most shows don't do 350 on their first show, so stepping out and seeing that the fans are hungry makes the boys in the back even more hungry, because now we really want to deliver. We want to actually give you something to come out and see.
Yeah, before the last show over there in Santa Fe, we had Nate Laws on, which I really enjoyed chatting with him.
That's my boy. Nate Laws is my boy.
Right.
He's Mr. 409.
Can you imagine,
Mr. 409.
And they've talked about it, but can you imagine these guys in a tag team?
Yes, I can. That would be awesome.
Him and Nate Laws. It's been rumored.
Hey, I mean, Laws has got a partner.
Right.
Let's not forget about Lance Beretta, and Beretta's no small boy either.
Hey,
so.
I will say this, kind of putting it over, from my understanding, he hasn't wrestled in like 4 or 5 years, and he came into the ring the last show, and he was hot. He was all over the place, energy like he hadn't set, like there was no break, So if you guys are looking for a lot of energy, Lance Beretta, I feel like watching this guy, man, I wouldn't have, if you'd have told me, oh, he hadn't wrestled in 4 or 5 years, there's no way I would have believed you unless, I heard it straight from his mouth. So.
Yeah, they've got a test above them tonight, they've got the great ones and the Bayou Cartel. There's the triple threat for those tag team titles. So.
Yeah. So it was the inaugural match. You're the inaugural champ. How did you find out about UPW? And I believe it's Bart, right, who started that event. And did he kind of put some feelers out, being I wanted to bring wrestling to Santa Fe?
Bart reached out and asked if I'd be interested. And without a doubt, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I love wrestling. I have a serious passion for this business. So after 15 years, if you don't love this business, then why are you still in this business?
Yeah. That came up yesterday. We were talking to some other people, and they were saying that they have run into people, in the wrestling business, they just complain, and it's like, well, why are you doing it? But there's something, I guess, that keeps pulling you back into it.
It's definitely addictive. It's a drug for sure.
I think that's why, and this audience, this isn't like just a wrestling show. We just happen to have wrestlers back to back from all the shows going on this weekend. But I'm very passionate about wrestling just as a fan. So, and people are like, man, why do you watch that? It's fake. And we're like, the word you're looking for is predetermined, But the idea really is watching these things, and maybe some people don't feel as passionate, but it is like this show, man. You have to be athletic. You have to be an actor. You have to be an entertainer. You have to be able to grasp a crowd all live. Like, there is no double take. There is no, oh, cut, let's do this scene again. It has to be 100% from the moment you step through that curtain. And so that's, I think, this interesting community of people that gather in this place. You can feel the electricity in the air. And I think there's like just a beauty to it that a lot of people, don't get unless you're kind of a part of it. Even as a fan, you kind of join into the show, the chants, the crowds, the claps, the boos. It all plays into this giant story from the time the bell rings to the last, the main event happens, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It takes me back to Chris Jericho tweeted something a little while back, and he says, everybody talks about wrestling being fake. Well, it's not fake. These guys are athletic actors. You go and you sit down and you watch Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Right.
You lose yourself in that movie for 2.5 hours, and then you leave and you feel great. But you just watch something that's fake. We all know it's fake, but we all enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, I love Marvel to death, but we all know it's fake. So to go out and go to a wrestling show and be like, oh, it's fake. Can you do what I do? Can you throw bodies around like I do?
Right. And if you can, why aren't you doing it with me?
Exactly. So I think it's just to remember that you say it's fake, but athletic acting is exactly what it is, because we're going to draw you in. We're going to bring you up. We're going to bring you down.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of Jericho, I saw something else on his Instagram. He was, I think it was that same post, but it was his body. And you see, like, hey, does this look fake? No, that's real. You know,
Yeah.
your body takes a beating. You've been doing it for 15 years. Yeah, I'm sure there's injuries that happen. My question is improvising, because everybody has a plan. You know, we come into the show with a plan. A lot of what we do is improvising.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I say plan, it's
Right,
loose.
right.
I said, okay, I'm going to start it this way, throw it to you, we're going to talk
Yeah.
this, and then it's just like whatever goes.
Right.
But it's not easy to improvise, because it's like, okay, this is an outline, and then you just, whatever happens, happens. But you got to be used to, I mean, pretty much winging it. Is that fair?
No, you gotta be able to live on the fly. Yeah, there's things that you can't control that is definitely gonna happen. So you gotta be able to live on the fly.
How do you learn that, other than just getting in there and doing it?
Getting in there and doing it.
Instinct. It's pure. And I think that,
Repetition.
Right.
Repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So
Whenever you get in the ring with someone, maybe it's their first time wrestling, can you tell, like, hey, they have what it takes, or they're not going to last, or you never really kind of judge someone like that?
Oh no, you can definitely tell. You can definitely tell. A lot of guys, you'll find out if they can, without giving away too much, you find out if they can listen. If you
Yeah.
can't listen, you're not going to make it.
Have you seen somebody go, nah, they're not, they ain't going to make it, and then they turn it around, like this magic happens, and now you're like, man, I can't believe you've come as far as you have.
Off the top of my head, I can think of maybe one.
Mm-hmm. You want to drop some names? You
No,
wanna see it?
I'm gonna keep it to myself.
All right.
Keep it to myself.
All right. I think that's a good story. So, this business of literally beating your body, sometimes in front of 10 people, sometimes in front of 1,000. You walk out with broken bones, pain. The training is just grueling. What in the world makes you do what you do?
Man, I've had a love for this business since.
Let's hear the story. Where did it all start?
I remember I remember flipping channels when I was a kid and not being allowed to watch it. I grew up in a Christian household, so I had some anger problems when I was growing up. So mom and dad didn't want me watching anything that they thought would fuel it.
Right.
What era was this of wrestling, by the way?
90s, early 90s.
Okay.
So before the NWO, before DX, before the Attitude Era, before all that. But I remember it's Saturday mornings, I get up and I turn on the TV. Mom would walk in the room and I'd switch the TV. But the first match that I remember that just sticks out in my head, I was in middle school. It was Uncensored 96. WCW had the 3-tier cell. The cage,
Yeah.
and it was Hulk Hogan and Macho Man versus the Legion of Doom, and they were basically trying to kill Hulkamania. And that right there it set me on a path. Sting is probably my biggest influence. I grew up a huge Sting fan, and then when I moved into WWF or WWE now, I became a huge Triple H fan. So just seeing guys that actually can go out there and work both sides.
When you say both sides, for listeners who know what you're talking about, what do you mean?
Good guy, bad guy. You know, there's sometimes Triple H was a huge bad guy until he got injured. And when he got injured and he tore his quad, when he came back, he was probably the biggest face you could have seen at the time. The biggest good guy you could have seen at the time.
And that's a match that a lot of people, you don't talk about just the heartbeat of wrestlers and why they do what they do. Man tears his quad, which is the muscle in the top part of your leg, right? Mm-hmm. Doctors say if you tear that, you're not supposed to be able to stand. Like, you cannot stand on it. Mm-hmm. He tears his quad in the middle of a match, finishes the match.
With Chris Jericho.
With Chris Jericho, finishes the match. And, I mean, like, in the wrestling world, that match is legendary for no matter what you say about Triple H or the state of WWE, like, you cannot take away the toughness of this guy. And that's kind of what separates those guys in the audience going, I can do that. Can you? Can you really? To guys like Mr. Nate Slater here.
Well, that's that improvisation. I follow an Instagram called Wrestling Botch. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's just botches that they show. And there's guys that get knocked out cold. I mean, it's real. They get knocked out cold, but you have to finish the match. And those guys they're trying to finish the match, or the other opponent is trying to. I mean, you still take hits. It's a crazy sport. You have to have a lot of guts to be able to step in that ring. And is it fair to say you have to be a little bit crazy?
Oh, I'm definitely crazy. I'm definitely crazy. So, yeah, you've got to be a little crazy to go in there and let somebody hit you.
What was your first steps into wrestling? How did you, how old were you? So you're watching WWE, you're just a fan. What made you go, man, I think I can do that?
once I started watching it, it was just like a dream. It was like, I want to do this when I grow up. I want to do this when I grow up. I want to do this when I grow up. When I graduated high school, the plan was me and a friend. I'm not going to name the friend.
Okay. I'm all about the name drops, bro.
We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Got to leave some mystery.
All right.
We were going to move to Dallas, and we were going to go to a wrestling school in Dallas at the time. I got married. I had a little girl on the way, so that changed a lot of things. Took about a year or two, and then I found Texas All-Star Wrestling out of Humble. They ran out of the bingo hall for 20 years, I believe.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Texas All-Star Wrestling the longest wrestling promotion in Texas?
It is.
The longest running wrestling promotion in Texas. And, again, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard they're the second longest in the country.
Yes.
Behind WWE.
Yes.
Wow.
So I can't, off the top of my head, I can't even remember what year mark this was.
Right.
But I found Texas All-Star, and me and my buddy, we went down to All-Star and we just started training. And it was magic from day one, just something we both fell in love with. And we are both still wrestling to this day.
That's awesome.
John Cena.
No.
Who was it? Like,
John Cena doesn't wrestle really anymore.
that's true, but he has good hair now, and he's in movies, in commercials.
I mean, it's debatable.
Debatable.
His hair is debatable. Come on, man.
I was impressed. I was like flat top to like the comb over. I was like,
I'll take the
it takes
military
guts.
cut all day, every day.
it takes guts to do that. You mentioned, Sting, and I started watching a bit of wrestling right before that NWO mania, I guess, took over. So I remember watching like Lex Luger.
So are we talking
Sting.
Surfer Sting, or are we talking about like brunette hair Sting?
Like the brunette.
Crow string.
I would have been the
Sting,
brunette.
I'm all about that bleach blonde.
The bleach.
That neon.
Ultimate Warrior and Sting running around.
Well, not so much the
Blade Runners, yeah.
But right after, once Warrior went to WWF and Sting was in WCW, he was
the man. He was the man.
I mean, him and Flair had some knockdown, drag out matches, and he was very bright.
Yeah.
When he came out, you knew what you were seeing. I think my favorite face paint and tights that he had was the red, white, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My mom made me stop watching wrestling. I have an older sister, but I was like, Scorpion Deathlock. I'm like, hey, her name's Delicia. And like, I wasn't trying to hurt her, but after that, she was like, yeah, I had the Nintendo 64 was out at the time. So WCW, the World Tour, and then the Revenge. And I love that you could play as these people that I had never even seen before, but I'm guessing it was like New Japan, because there's like these Japanese wrestlers, and it kind of opened up a world to me. Then my mom was like, you got to get rid of those. And
Same thing over here. Yeah.
Same thing over here. Same thing over here.
So
I had the original when WCW released like the 12-inch figures that rumbled when you held the button on the side. I had those. Had to get rid of them.
I picked up a WrestleMania 3 VHS at a garage sale, and literally wore the tape out as a kid. They had some WrestleMania 3 was the Hogan and Andre. It was Macho Man Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Right after Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, I believe, Macho Man jumped off the top rope and hit Ricky the Dragon Steamboat with the ring bell in his face, and they said on TV, I think he swallowed his tongue. So as a kid,
he swallowed his
I was like, because they carried him out on a stretcher. Like, it was a big, it was great. And so as a kid, I'm like, he swallowed his tongue. There was no, and then they had a match with Hillbilly Jim versus King Kong Bundy, and they each had 3, I'm going to go politically correct and say little people with them. So, the midget wrestling. And King Kong Bundy, he's
the three hornswoggles.
He was he was the bad guy, and it was great because he ended up slamming one of Hillbilly Jim's midgets. I say that like he owns them, but on his team, and every single little person in the ring turned on Bundy. His own team, like, they all just attacked him. And as a kid, I just thought that was amazing. Like, it was beautiful. So WrestleMania 3 for me was, I just would watch it over and over and over again until I got a hold of WrestleMania 6, which was the Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, Toronto Dome, April 21st. I'm just saying. So it was great. So wrestling has always been a passion of mine since I was a kid. But I went through the stage where I kind of got out of it. High school, actually, it was probably after high school, because it was after Attitude Era was kind of ending. Life, girls, whatever. And then my buddy, probably about 7-8 years ago, goes, hey, come watch the Royal Rumble. I'm like, man, I haven't watched wrestling since high school. and it was just one Royal Rumble, and I was done.
It's the Rumble.
I was hooked.
The Rumble's one of those that it'll get you.
It was the one where Kofi Kingston handstand and hand walked his way back into the ring. He flips over the top rope, so you have to be out if both your feet touch the ground. This guy lands on his hands, does a handstand, and then hand walks his way back to the ring, and I was done. I was like, what is this? This is magic. And I totally went down a rabbit hole, found independent wrestling, met Nate Laws, seen these guys at Texas All-Star, and so,
You mentioned moving to Dallas, starting to train, and you were hooked. But you also mentioned, getting married, having a daughter. How does that family mix with being a professional wrestler, and do they ever get concerned?
Well, we were going to move to Dallas. We actually stayed in Houston. So
Okay, sorry.
I didn't move.
Texas All-Stars in Humble.
All-Stars in Humble. So, wrestling's it's hard on a marriage. I'll tell you that. I'm on my third marriage now, so no fault of my own, but I mean it is what it is. My wife supports well now. It's a little bit harder when you're in a relationship and they don't, so I did have to walk away for a little while, and I at the same time lost my passion, but there was a couple of things that brought me right back, and here we are.
I mean, there's a difference between us. He pointed at me like, I'm just a guy watching. You're actually, blood, sweat, and tears in the ring training. Tell people out there what it feels like just to come through that curtain, man.
I don't know if you can describe it. There's nothing like it. I've not had anything like it. It's electric. It's very intoxicating for sure. So whether you're looking for them to boo you or you're looking for them to cheer, that all falls on you. So there's nothing like it.
I guess any reaction. I don't know what people's mindset is going through, but
you definitely don't want them to be silent.
Right.
You definitely don't want them to be silent.
That's it.
Just everybody's like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Who's this guy?
Yeah. So you're wrestling an opponent tonight, and you mentioned his name. It's David Dupron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for whatever reason, my phone, and I wanted to give him a call, but I'm not sure if he's watching, but my phone won't connect to the board, which may be a God thing because I don't know how much good blood, bad blood there is, but I really wanted to make that happen kind of as a surprise gift to you.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you would have appreciated that, but it's not working. Do you respect him?
I respect all athletes for sure. Anybody that steps in that ring, I respect you, but you've got to bring your best to take this from me. And it's going to be hard.
Do you feel like that he has a respect for you?
Respect, yes. I think he underestimates me.
Okay. What has he done to kind of make you think that?
Well, like at the last time I saw him, he in the middle of my match, he decided he wanted to get involved. And so it cost the other guy the match because he attacked me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And once he attacked me, it was game on. Now you're in my house. You're in my world. You're in the concrete jungle.
So how does Undisputed Pros? Because a lot of promotions stick to whatever happens in Undisputed Pro. That's it. But you saying this happened at a different.
It did.
How I find it very interesting. How's that all intertwining, connecting, and
he just happened, I guess, to be in the building. I got a call. I got a call to fill in at a show. I showed up. I filled in at the show, and while we're going through the match, he decided he wanted to attack me. So
was he on the card?
No,
he was just there as a spectator.
Yeah,
maybe doing a little scouting.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Who is your absolute favorite person to get in the ring with?
Absolute favorite person to get in the ring with. It's gonna suck to say, but I love getting in there and beating the crap out of Jesse Logan.
All right, these guys have fought about how many times?
I don't know.
1 billion times.
1 billion.
Oh, dude.
Orlando's got a poster out there that he
right.
made. We fought a lot.
Right.
We fought a lot. So
Okay, so you grew up and you first started watching wrestling in the 90s, and then before you decided to make that jump to, potentially go to Dallas and started training over here, like what was high school like for you? Did you still have that passion for wrestling to watch it the entire time, even if your parents didn't approve? Were you playing sports or more concerned about other things?
By high school, I was allowed to watch it as long as my grades were okay.
Yeah.
I wrestled in high school. I played football 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. I was given a choice to either wrestle or play football by the football coach. So I went with the latter. I tore my labrum senior year, so that kind of took me out. Rehabbed the shoulder, and just went from there.
Yeah. This is maybe a weird question, I don't know, but do you have any resentment, or do you think it was like good parenting from your parents, just like you understand why they said, hey, we don't want you to have any anger issues or fuel that?
Having 4 kids myself, I can understand it. You want to protect your kids. I was also diagnosed with asthma, like 5th grade, right going into 6th grade. So asthma was kind of new to everybody back then. You didn't really know what it was. So I was set on the couch for a while until 7th grade hit. And in 7th grade, I was like, I want to play football. I want to get out there and hit somebody.
Were you pretty big in 7th grade?
I had put weight on because of sitting on the couch watching TV. So I remember freshman year I wrestled at 215. That was the weight class I wrestled at in freshman year. After that, I couldn't get back down to 215.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. So I've been a bigger boy. I grew an extra 2 inches after high school. So
wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got buddies that I still see now, and he was like, I was taller than you when you graduated. Yeah, you were.
You were.
You were.
Yeah, it's funny how life comes at you, huh? You just kind of either stop growing or keep growing the wrong way, growing this way.
I'm definitely growing the wrong way, wide as opposed to.
It's okay, I do too.
All right. Did you know Bart Harris before he called you up for Undisputed Pro?
I didn't know Bart before
Okay.
he reached out. I didn't know Bart, and to be honest, I'm glad he did. Bart's a great guy. UPW's a great product, and he really just wants to give back to Santa Fe.
Right.
He's from this area. He's from the Texas City, Lamarck, Santa Fe, Alvin area. So he really just wants to give back. He wants to put wrestling out here because he's got a love and a passion for this business also.
Do you have any history with Johnny Blade? Do you know him pretty well or not?
I've had a couple of run-ins with him.
Is he a good guy?
So, I mean, what's the
You can go either way.
what's the politically correct? We'll say
We'll
a
say, yeah.
snake in the grass.
Okay.
It is what it is. He wants to, as of right now, he wants to put his nose in my business. Well, he found out April 19th that that's okay. I'll use you for target practice. I dumped David Duperon right on top of him.
That's in the Battle Royal.
After the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
If he decides he wants to get involved again tonight, well, we can revisit.
And what's Johnny's space at Undisputed Pro?
Johnny is David Duperon's manager. He is also Jesse Logan's manager now and Alistair's manager now. I couldn't remember if he had a last name or not.
He's building a
roster. He's representing
He's trying.
some talent, I guess.
He's trying. But that's okay. That's okay.
Do you have a manager?
No.
Do you desire one?
No.
Do you have any?
I mean, Chevy, you available?
Nah, bro, I'm always
Chevy,
available
sign
for
me up.
managing.
Showing up in a suit?
I'll be there. I'll be there.
No, I don't want you showing up in a suit. I want you showing up just like this.
All
man.
right. Do you have any plans tonight of, let's say, since this roster's building, odds are they're building a small army to come after the Silverback Gorilla.
Maybe.
Do you have any backup? Do you have any plans of connecting with people to maybe get your back?
I've got some things in the works,
Okay.
but we'll leave it at that.
And if you wanna know, you gotta come check it out.
You do got to come check it out. There's some mutual respects out there, so we'll see what happens.
So Silverback Gorilla, can you share when did that name come to be? I think I have a guess like why you're called that, but can you share the story?
I don't know. Somebody referred it to me at one point after a show, because when I originally came back to wrestling, I actually came back to retire, and that's one That's one of Jesse Logan's biggest arguments is he was supposed to be my last match. Unfortunately for him, I got bit by the bug again, and I just couldn't walk away. So I was a little bit heavier. I had somewhat of a mohawk. I had a beard, and somebody told me, "Hey, you look like a big gorilla." And I was like, so it was kind of just went from there.
Did they mean it as a compliment, as a jab, as a beast? Like what? How did they mean it?
However they meant it, I took it as a compliment.
I'm saying this man sells a lot of T-shirts with a picture of a gorilla on it.
My logo sells, and my wife's actually wearing my shirt right now. So
yeah, I love whenever things are said, and whether it's meant to be flattering or not. But if you take it and embrace it and be like, okay, you know what? That is me. I am the silverback gorilla. I am a gorilla. I'm going to get in there, and like you say, the concrete jungle. Another thing I have to ask, and I've seen this in WWE or different Instagrams, like sometimes fans try and get too involved. You know, have you ever had an opportunity or a situation where the fans like, you know, patting you on the back, touching you? Because I see what happens whenever a fan kind of loses that boundary that's there, and it's kind of like fair game.
I haven't had it happen to me. I've seen it happen before, and well,
it happens.
You're fair game.
Yeah.
I seen recently Jacob Fatu, who is a cousin of you know the Usos, and he's part of that family. Man, somebody crossed
out of him.
Dude, somebody crossed that barricade.
He only hit him twice.
Was it Impact?
Yeah, I think so. He only hit him twice.
Yeah. I mean, he hit him once. Dude hit the ground. I think he hit him when he's on the ground. That was it. And they had to drag that dude out, you know, because he wasn't getting up.
I mean, unfortunately, fans feel that they can act however they want, and to a certain point, you can.
Yeah.
But when you cross that line, don't be mad.
Much like we talked a little bit about yesterday, the Bret Hart affair, where fan jumped in the ring at the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Dash Wilder got a piece of him too.
Yeah, and you know what? What was his Revival, right?
Dash Wilder's part of the Revival. Yeah.
I wasn't a big Revival fan. I get it; they're technicians, whatever.
I'm a fan. I've been a fan.
He won me over. I mean,
I've been a fan.
He knocked the mess out of that guy.
That 2-piece jab right there, or uppercut, as we should say, it was great.
Yeah.
And then he just walked away.
What's your favorite part about this, man? Why do you know? What keeps you driving? What keeps you moving?
My kids love it. My kids love it. So I have a passion for it. My kids have a passion for it. My son's been to a wrestling camp. He's been to a training camp. So I'll keep pushing until I can't anymore. I mean, you talked about the bumps and bruises. There's mornings where I wake up and it's a little bit hard to get going, but
right.
I pop my vitamins and I keep going. So
yeah.
And you have what? One son, 3 daughters?
1 son, 3 daughters.
As we're seeing, and we're in a day and age where, you know, women's wrestling is just as it used to be like, oh, okay, well they're girls, that's fun, you know, but now it's like
it's different.
There's really no line. There's
my younger two love it. My oldest, she loves it. I don't think she actually has a passion to want to do it, but she'll sit down and watch it and enjoys watching.
If any of your kids decided to pursue it, is that something you would encourage them, or
100%?
Yeah,
100%. I don't want to hold you back. If there's something you want to do, something you're interested in, let's figure it out. Let's find out get a way to do it.
Yeah. Wow.
What wrestlers, professional, independent? Let's go both. One professional, one on the indie scene. Inspire you, excite you. You're just always happy to see.
Right now, Braun in the professional world. I just love what they did with that big monster.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if y'all know his story. He was pulled out of the world's strongest man market by Mark Henry. And
I didn't know that part.
Yeah,
I didn't know the Mark Henry part.
Mark Henry found him and brought him in, and I mean this man is a beast.
Yeah,
I mean 6'8", like 385 or something like that, just monstrous. Everything that he does, to see where he came from with the Wyatt family, where you could actually see where, I mean, I say you could actually see, but you could tell he wasn't as polished as he is now.
Right.
To headlining shows and being that focal point. It's great. Indie wise,
local. Let's say local.
Local. Man, there's a couple of guys that really entertain me. Australia's great.
Yeah.
And he really gives back to the business. I hate to say it, but Great Sexy Love.
Yeah.
Man, they are entertaining.
They are. You talking about the whole as a whole, or just the tag team?
As a whole.
Yeah,
as
so
a whole. The great ones as a tag team crack me up.
Ones.
I can't stand those boys.
Yeah.
We've had our run-ins, but
there's a whole little faction, we'll say, led by Steve DeMarco, which he's been in the business for. At one point, he held almost every belt in Texas at the same time. Almost was on his way out. Like, he just kind of getting to an age. Started really putting in the work, doing yoga, working
DDP
out. DDP yoga. I mean, he's would you say he's older than you? I don't know if throw his business out there, but
he's older than me.
He's you know, at an age where most people are starting to shut down. It's almost like he just turned up, like he revived, and we're, you know, kind of putting him over now. And then he started building this little squad of really fun, entertaining. So there's like 4 or 5 of them, and I know they just have a female wrestler in there now.
Yeah, they just added.
Is she going by Pumpkin? She used to. I don't know.
Greta Oxberg.
Okay, and so like they're just taking over Texas. It seems like everywhere I turn around, people are just throwing titles at them, and they're earning them, man. They're everywhere. So shout out to Steve DeMarco, great guy, great mind for the business. You know, I'm a DeMarco fan. I DeMarc out sometimes, you know. So
I mean, another person I really look up to in this business is Jason Sullivan.
Okay,
it's just he's a big man that can move.
He's a hoss,
and he's got a mind for this business. So
and just on the mic, he's great. Like I've seen him. You know, everything. He's just a big old white dude, wrestles under a lucha mask sometimes. Like, I mean, just
hey, we cannot confirm nor deny.
I'm with you. On the show, we were kind of even yesterday, kind of jumping in and out of what the people call kayfabe. So, whatever angle the wrestlers wanted to come into, we were cool with it, man. They were like, do we do characters? Do we not? I mean, at the end of the day, you guys are real people with a passion to do what you do, you know. So that being said, what's the difference between Nate Slater in the ring and Nate Slater, father of 4, working man?
I just turn the volume all the way up. When I get to a show, I turn the volume all the way up. You know, I'm me through and through. I can be a pain in the butt. My wife and my kids will tell you. I can be kind of strict and I can be kind of loud, but I turn the volume up when I get out there. You get me 100%, and it took me a while to get to that point, to really figure out exactly who Nate Slater was.
Is it easy to turn on?
For me now, yes.
Yeah.
Was there a struggle at some point, like growing, learning of actually Nate Slater in the ring and that coming home with you, and you not really finding that line?
Yeah, for a while there was.
What really helped you jump over that hurdle?
Having an extra outlet. I used to bounce a lot, so working security kind of gave you that extra outlet to, if you had to get a little forceful and you had to find a way to get that extra energy out, then you could.
I feel like there's probably some crazy stories that we can't touch on with you, you know, working security, but if somebody was looking for trouble and not following the rules, you could easily help them out, I assume.
Yeah, I'll show you to the door real quick.
Yeah, that's one of those jobs that just kind of finds you. It seems
there's a few guys.
Security, yeah.
There's a few guys in the business that are actual legit guys that you probably wouldn't want to meet in a bar.
Right. I was actually saying that because we were talking about Curt talking trash earlier, and I'm like, he's never met Nate Slater, has he? And he was like, no. And I'm like, that's exactly how I described it. Like, dude, great guy. Not a dude that I'd want to come across or get on his bad side in real life. Like, it's not, you know, I don't feel like the Nate Slater persona is just, you know, some guys you're like, you see them, they jump in the ring and they're a different person. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't think Nate Slater's that much different in the ring than out of the ring.
Like I said, I just turned the dial all the way up.
So we're saying that just for Curt and his hurt back or whatever, you know, all the trash you were talking.
Bending over, grabbing the water bottle.
Yeah,
water bottle got him.
If I had to put some money on something, you know.
My money's on the water bottle.
Right.
It's 10:38 right now. We're talking to UPW champion, the inaugural champion of UPW. This is Nate Slater, the Silverback Gorilla. If you have any questions for him, I've seen a lot of comments coming in. If you've shared this video out, thank you. If you haven't, go ahead and smash the share button. We're promoting an event that's taking place tonight. So if somebody wants to get tickets, if somebody is looking to get involved, how can they do that? Can you still get them at the door?
Yes, we're still selling tickets at the door. We're going to be 4135 Warpath in Santa Fe.
I'm going to be there. My cousin JT Royce, he has
I got some words for him when I see him.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm sure he's excited to hear him as well. One thing that I like And I would tell him this, if you ever, and this is to anybody in life, if you ever feel like you're being disrespected, if you ever feel like maybe people are overlooking you, maybe speak up. There's different ways to do it, maybe in a professional manner, maybe not in a big outlet, but there's ways to do that. But one thing I will say is if you ever feel like things aren't working the way they should be, stand up for yourself. And so my cousin, he's young. He's like 20 years old, right? And he's been wrestling since like freshman high school, throughout high school, and he has a passion for it and has been a fan of WWE and kind of helped bring me back into that by watching him, watching him take his journey. So I'm proud of him for following his dreams. I'm proud of him for standing up for himself and also finding something that I feel like he has a passion for. He's not trying to be liked. He's not trying to be over with anybody. He's going to come in and, I'm not the biggest guy, but I'm willing to get up here and do, everything I can to try and be a champion one day.
Are you trying to be his manager, Gardy?
I feel like I am not, but I will be the head of the fan club.
Okay.
Speak up for JT Royce when he's being disrespected.
Be the only member, but yeah.
So
he's like, thanks, cousin.
I saw you. You were chiming in. You'd be like, man, all right, kid.
That's what it is. He needs to focus on his match tonight, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you know who he's going up against?
He's got Galactica tonight.
Oh yeah.
You better focus on Galactica.
Have you ever seen Galactica Estrella?
On video. I watched the entire match on YouTube, and I am proud of my cousin for the social media aspect side of it. Almost every single one of his matches is on his YouTube channel, and I shared with you yesterday his Instagram following, because a lot of that has changed. Social media has given for me that's how I see a lot of those highlights and stuff. It's a different beast now, even from 15 years ago.
Let's touch on that a little bit, which kind of takes a different direction. For wrestling, that's it's a plus, but it almost you see these highlight reels after highlight reels after highlight reels, and real fans really kind of get really excited about a good technical match sometimes. And there are these slow storytelling aspects, and so for social media to highlight your face off to walk into a match, sometimes you're like, what? It's been 10 seconds. Why hasn't anybody dove over the top rope?
Flip.
And so, what are your thoughts on that?
You will not see me flipping tonight. You will not be flipping.
Hey, you never can say never in the wrestling business.
I will say never.
Yeah. So
it's not the flying and the jumping that scares me. It's the sudden stop at the bottom that hurts.
I hear you. But your thoughts on that as the fans? Do you see a change in the atmosphere as far as high flying, high energy versus a good knock down, beat out, old school Stone Cold kind of vibe?
You'll see a lot more shares for the flashy.
Yeah.
But if you actually sit down and you watch a video, you may actually see something that catches your eye. And you're like, wow. I mean, I'm a big old boy. Jesse Logan's a big old boy. And at no point, if you've actually ever seen us wrestle, will you say that these two guys actually like each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we get out there, we put on a show.
I think you should make throw it out there to people that y'all should have your own show between you and Jesse, like a reality show, and it should follow y'all from now until y'all end up as roommates in a retirement home together.
Nah, man.
Still wrestling.
Still wrestling.
No. I can only deal with so much outlaw at once.
I think no. I think it'd be good. I think it create ratings all over the place, Yeah.
So,
Texas All-Star, if you're not jumping
we'd
behind that idea.
We'd have one subscriber for sure.
Yeah, I'd be about that live. Just them fighting.
What is the plan? What's the goal? Whenever fans are leaving the match tonight after watching the main event and the title stays with you or goes with David, whatever happens.
Oh, it's staying with me.
It's
staying with me.
What is the goal? What do you want fans to say whenever they leave?
I can't wait till the next one.
I honestly feel
I can't wait till the next one.
That's exactly what happened at the last show. I felt like, man, the energy in that room was I went into it, and let's be honest, it's a ring inside a gym, and let's throw it out on the table. And I'm just about keeping it real. Right, 10 minutes down the road, we have Booker T's Reality of Wrestling that's very polished. They have screens and high fly. They bring people from all over the country, blah blah blah. And now you're going to this wrestling ring, to this wrestling show with a ring in a gym, and then you're there. And there's so much fire in the air, man. There's so much electricity. The crowd was behind every match. That is the grassroots of local wrestling is a ring and a gym and guys who are there because they want to be there, and you know what, they're gonna beat their bodies, they're gonna bleed their blood, they're gonna sweat their sweat, and then they're gonna get up on Monday morning and go to their 9 to 5 a lot of times because that's what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so passionate about what they do.
6 to 5.
6 to 5. He's like, don't be taking my hours away.
I need that OT.
You know,
I got 4 kids.
and it's just a different atmosphere, man. And so I was, I kind of went to like, oh, okay, it's cool, check it out. It's my hometown. I really appreciate it. But once you're there, I go to a lot of wrestling shows around Houston, and it was, like I said, it was electric, man. There was some good stuff in the air. Big shout out to Bart Harris for having the idea and having the heart to go through with it, and the financing, man. It's a lot throwing. There's tons of money getting put behind this thing. I mean, I'm saying not a lot, but coming out. This isn't like a corporation sponsoring this wrestling event.
We've definitely got sponsors, and we're really thankful for them.
Yes,
so.
for sure. But those are Bart Harris and his crew
going out to get sponsors,
going out and finding sponsors,
willing to basically gamble on us.
Right.
So we're very appreciative. Everybody in that locker room is appreciative.
Right. So, I mean, I just want to send a shout out to that guy because, I mean, he's a guy who used to be in the business, has maybe got to a point where it's unsafe for him to be in the ring, or, he told me he had some ankle problems, and that's wise of him to not be like, I'm going to do it. I don't care about my body, but still wants to give back to that wrestling community. And, we're talking about it yesterday, just blown away by his sumo wrestling. He was a sumo, and I thought that was amazing, just the different aspects of wrestling that he's jumped into. I even asked him, hey, man, you ever think about going to the show again? He's working a 9 to 5. He's like, I'm there. Like, I have to work. There's no way I can make that morning show. But I'm sending guys like Mr. Nate Slater to represent the company and represent it well. You look good with that belt, brother.
I appreciate you,
look good with that belt. And
that beard's looking good over there,
too. Thank you. It's Love Fest going on. I'm okay with it. I'm going to be his manager tonight. No, man, I just, like, as a fan and somebody who's kind of, really appreciates the art of wrestling. Dude, it's gorgeous what they do. It's grassroots. It's chairs on a wooden floor. It's, you don't know what's going to happen. It's people taking dives off the top ropes that maybe have never done it before, but they're like, hey, I'm going to try this in the middle of a match,
Yeah.
And so sometimes
you don't know if they're going to land on somebody or if they're going to stress test the floor.
Right. And so man,
Kurt's on here talking trash, which he's in Florida with a hurt back, icing it, and I'm not even gonna read the comment.
Let's read it.
I want to know.
One thing I did want to talk about with the grassroots. So we had Brendan Steen and we had Will All Day. Two great guys, reality wrestling superstars on that local level, doing some really cool things around Texas. We were talking a bit about that grassroots, and they were in agreement. Like, hey, the gym. You set up in a gym, set up the ring. That's what it's all about, and that's where it starts.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to hear, just the agreement. And we support local wrestling, and I love an opportunity for other wrestlers to get a shot, and just to be able to have a platform to go and take their talents to. And the more opportunities that you're seeing, the more chances you have to improve, maybe impress, move to a different level, get the belt, and just live the dream.
And Texas wrestling is hot right now.
It's hot.
It's hot.
I think I've got 4 shows next month booked, so it's hot.
Every weekend, boom, doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing 2.
Some are 2 in one weekend. So
how do you do that? 2 in a weekend?
Make it work, man. You gotta make it work.
Wow. Well,
get up, go to work, get off, go home, shower, grab your bag, and go.
From the last show, were there any guys that you say? Of course, the main event is you and Dupont just tearing it up. You're saying you're walking away with this belt, but people listening who's never been to a UPW event, what else? What are some other guys or gimmicks or whatever that really jump out to you that you're like, man, that's fun. That's
tag
really
match
cool.
is going to be great.
Do you know who's all in the tag match?
Tag match is we're crowning new champions tonight. There will be tag team champions tonight.
That's awesome.
So one of these 3 teams will be leaving. You've got Beretta and Laws, you've got the Great Ones, and you've got the Bayou Cartel.
That's the inaugural tag champ?
Or the inaugural tag champs.
He probably just, like, the belts are probably hot off the press. You
Literally
know what I'm saying?
made right now.
Yeah.
So
first time ever tag team.
I'm gonna have to shout out to my brother Nate Laws. I mean, I'm hoping this,
Pulling for Nate?
Yeah, Nate's my
Mr.
bro.
409.
Mr. 409. Like,
I got the shirt in the closet at home.
We thought we both have Nate Laws shirts, so we're both like, why did we wear them today?
No, I like my button up better.
I know, it's nice. It's nice. It is a good. I don't think I've ever seen you out of wrestling gear. So, no, man, but Nate Laws, again, just positive in the local boy from Lamarck, Texas, 409. We are in the 409. That's my prediction. I'm going to go with my brother. I mean, that's my bro. So I'm a bit biased.
Too.
I'm a bit biased.
We're in Lamarck, Texas right now. Nate being proud to rep Lamarck. Hey, I'm proud to rep Lamarck too. And I feel like there's a change happening in our area. There's a lot of positive things going on in the community, and there's not a lot of people that we can say like, hey, that's our own. And Nate is one of them. He's doing cool things, and I'm proud. Like, represent where you're from. Don't forget, go do big things, change the world. Be a champ, but don't forget where you're from. And
right.
Nate
and he
is
doesn't.
Perfect.
Right. And just constantly pouring positivity back in the community, and just anybody who knows him. He's been in the business for a long time. A lot of knowledge, a lot of strength. I mean, you talk about both. He's a hoss too. Like
he's a hoss.
That's what I said. Nothing against. And Brett is awesome, man. That single kick off the top rope. I
wouldn't want to meet Nate Laws in a dark alley either. Mm-mm. So
I see him in the gym sometimes. Like, seriously,
he's a big old boy.
He's over there and he's doing cardio, lifting weights, and I'm like, and I don't want to interrupt him because the gym is not for like socializing, but I just got to go up, and give him like some fists, and then he like barely taps it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Nate, chill out.
Sometimes I just run and jump into his arms and make him carry me like a baby.
He's like,
get off me, Chevy.
As far as the other matches tonight, you've got Gardy's cousin.
JT Royce!
JT Royce versus...
Man, I'm pumped for JT Royce. I'm going to flip this
the Texas All-Star Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Estrella Galactica.
The heavyweight?
Oh, he's the heavyweight champion. He's got the big belt.
It's impressive.
That's a feat, yeah.
He's got the big belt.
What I love about Estrella, the first time I saw this cat, I was like, why is this cat dressed like a Power Ranger? So he has this flash about him, right? And that's what people say, the kid, for little kids. And you're like, oh, well, that's cute, And then he comes in the ring, and you're like, what is that? Almost every single time I've seen him wrestle, I have to go, what is that? Because I've never seen that move before. And I've been watching wrestling for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? And so big shout out to, Estrella Galactica for literally being out of this world. And, it just makes a difference wherever he goes. And on top of that, almost every single show I see him at, he's taking his time, taking pictures with the kids, pouring back into, because that's what it's about, man. When those kids light up, that's where it all started for us. Being, seeing those costumes, seeing those whatever for the first time. It's like, this is the closest we're going to get to real live superheroes, especially with Galactica coming off the ropes, doing the moves he does. I know. So your cousin's up for, I'm not making predictions on this one, but it's definitely going to test his skills.
Sounds like you're making some predictions, Chevy.
It's a singles match.
It's a singles match.
It is a singles match.
Which he was in the ring. It was a four, I think, for everybody. Mm-hmm. Man, that's tough. So Estrella Galactica, he won. And so he has a victory over JT Royce. And I know the other guys' names, but I can't think of it right now. And JT Royce is really the one that sticks out for some reason.
The one that I really care about.
I wonder why.
Right.
Our blood is shared, So
let's see. You got T-Ray and Paul Titan of the
singles.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Paul Titan, their whole gimmick, man, they're barbarians.
Yeah, the Pillars of Destiny.
The Pillars of Destiny, man. And you know what? I used to watch Paul Titan at a former gimmick when he used to do whatever. And then, really, I guess, finding his place in life as a Viking. We'll say that. And I don't know what lands he traveled to grab a hold of this thing, but it seems like, maybe it was an eat, pray, love thing. I'm not sure. He goes to wherever and came back as a noob, but man, they're exciting to watch.
Was that the promo that he cut walking down the hall?
Yep.
Because you mentioned Viking. I didn't know his name, and I was just like,
yeah, and it seems like he's building a band of Vikings because I've never seen
like it, right?
I've never seen those Vikings that were in that promo.
I've had a run-in with Crowley before.
Okay, and so I think that's very interesting. A lot of story, and again, it's just like feeling like you're reading a comic book with all these storylines kind of coming together and coming alive, and kind of seeing the conclusion of these stories tonight at Undisputed Pro Wrestling. So I find it very interesting.
Let's see what else we got. We got Smoke Mac and Alistair tonight.
Oh, okay. They tag teamed.
They were
last
tag team
month.
partners. In April?
Yeah, in April.
And Alistair left him.
Okay,
man.
And so that's a breakup
to go hang out with Johnny Blade, huh?
I guess so. Yeah,
it's a breakup, man. It's a breakup story.
That's rough. It's not always easy.
It's not. There's a lot of broken hearts involved in that. A lot of betrayal.
Is there a lot of egos?
You never know.
You run into a lot of egos.
Oh lordy! I think it comes with the territory. You have.
It does. I wouldn't say there's a lot, but there's definitely some.
Yeah. Is it important to keep it in check to a degree? Or like once you're in there, you got to, like you said, you turned it up to 10. So, like your ego, I'm the silverback gorilla and I'll beat anybody,
sometimes you just got to turn it up.
Can you imagine him like right now? He's like, yeah, I'll beat anybody, but that's not turned up. Like he's already like, no, there's nobody that can take this belt. And then when he turns up, can you imagine? Like,
I can.
The intensity. Yeah,
I think I can. It's probably like at 2. Like, what's the intensity at right now? It's like chill.
Oh man, I'm still trying to wake up. I'm a little tired, no lie.
Yeah, I got you. So, but for the rest of the day, I feel like, are you about to go to work and be like, I'm going to come back tonight?
Oh no, we're gonna hang out in the area.
Okay, it's right down the street.
Yeah, I don't want to drive all the way back and then turn around and drive back. So
I don't blame you.
yeah.
That traffic's no joke. Hey, the weather, it looks like it's going to be clear tonight. There's no excuse not to come out. It's available to everybody. You're welcome. I believe the address is 4135 Warpath, Santa Fe, Texas. You can buy tickets at the door. It's very affordable, like $10, $15,
it's
something like that.
$10 for adults. I think $15 for ringside. $10 general admission for adults, $8 for kids.
That's great. It's affordable pricing, man. It's not crazy. Like, even if you're not a wrestling fan, it's $10.
Bring the whole family in.
It'll be entertained. I guarantee it'll change the way you look at wrestling. Undisputed Pro Wrestling on Facebook, Instagram. Check them out. Nate Slater, you got some ways to follow the Silverback.
Silverback Nate Slater on Facebook. Nate Slater also on Facebook. That's my personal one. In the number 8 Slater on Instagram. And if you want my Twitter, you can get it off of Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Is there anything else you'd like to share at all?
There's a couple more matches. I can't really remember who all's going to be there, so come out, see what happens. Watch me throw Duper around a building.
I like that. Any words for Duper on himself?
Bring your best.
Boom, baby.
I like
Boom.
it.
Undisputed Pro Wrestling. We're here with the inaugural champion, Mr. Nate Slater. We've had an awesome time. Man, that belt looks good on you.
Thank you.
You plan to hang onto it for a while, huh?
He's like, it's a part of my wardrobe now.
You got to come and take it.
Yeah. This has been Kickstart KHEA Radio. It's about 10:56 right now. Hey, y'all be blessed today and come hang out with me, Chevy. Come hang out with the champ, Nate, tonight at UPW in Santa Fe. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us on this or send us a message or hit up Nate or Bart. They'll be able to get those answered for you. You got any closing, any thoughts?
Man, I'm hyped for tonight, I'm hyped for tonight. I'm hyped about marshes. I'm hyped about plans from our earlier guests, and I'm just, I'm going to have a hype day, I think,
Yeah. Feel free to like KHEA Radio. We love to support local events that are taking place, whether you have a nonprofit, a local business, or you are doing something cool that maybe a lot of people don't do. We want to hear your story. Send us an email, KHEA@KHEAradio.com. We support this UPW movement, and I'm pumped to be a part of it. I'm going to be there and watch that David Duperon and Nate Slater, the Silverback Gorilla match, headlining tonight in Santa Fe, Texas. We'll see y'all later. Be blessed. Have a good weekend.